Wow. Simply wow. Is it the greatest Test series win this century? Is it the greatest of all time? Is it the most unlikely? Are New Zealand good? Once again, we bow down to our Kiwi overlords. This is the skeleton century. How can you be that nice and that good at cricket? Is this the downfall of another great Indian generation? Think of all the names, the players, the moments, the legacy, and they're only going to achieve one T20 World Cup in America. Wow. The bat-off continues in Australia. Is it McSweeney? Is it Sydney Sweeney? Is it Sweeney Todd? What's the song and dance about? And what happened to the ball tampering? Is this a rug being swept or a rug being pulled out from underneath us? Is this Mount Rushmore or Mount Crymore? Hey, there's cricket happening in Australia today, apparently. Summer is here, and so is Matt Wade, who stopped by the studio on the way to the cricket match to reflect on a career with highs, lows, and everything in between. There's also Sheffield Shield, WBBL, IPL retentions, and AskTGC for another stellar show right here on The Grey Cricketer. It's the only place on the entire internet to get so much all at once. Sorry for all the value. This episode is brought to you by Smith Optics Australia. Use the code FAST for 25% off your order at smithopticsaustralia.com. Summer is here. The cricket is here. Smith Optics are here. It's a day where the sun's out, the guns are out, the shades are on. Are you feeling fast? That's the code at smithopticsaustralia.com. Pezza, how are you?
Mate, well, thanks. I'm wonderful intro again, by the way.
Thanks.
God. I'm taking my children and my wife to the cricket today.
Yeah. Wow. More wow. Just wow.
I'm good. Like, it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah.
6 and 4 years of age, respectively. I think that's a eat confectionery and go home situation.
Right.
But I'm hoping, they can sit down and they like something that happens.
It's just nice that the cricket's on. Now,
Yep.
Obviously, we are in Melbourne and there is a public holiday tomorrow.
For horsies.
So it feels like we can extend the weekend. It's a long weekend kind of vibe to it, extra long weekend, if you will. And but that's really only exists here in Melbourne. So the cricket starting in the country on a Monday in November, ODIs. I don't want to get that negative.
Is it starting?
But does this count?
Starting?
Is it good? Is this good? Is this good? That's what I'm asking. Is this good? I don't know if it's good.
I don't know what TV channel it's on. Do we know? Is it still Fox?
Oh, it must be Fox.
Yeah.
It must be Fox.
I know Fox got it all, apart from the World Cups.
Yeah. So no World Cups and Seven don't have the white ball stuff. So it must be on Fox.
It's a new rights deal, yeah. Should probably know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, is summer starting or is it? I don't know.
I'm into. Here's what I'm into. Fuck, we're lost, aren't we?
Yeah, confusion early.
I'm into the Australian cricket team playing in Australia at times that I can watch. But I immediately I complain about the day that it's on, the format that it's in, and the channel that it's on.
Yeah.
So are we ever happy?
Well, summer is here. Then.
Summer's here.
We're starting to feel the rhythms of summer.
That's right.
We got somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, now a shout out to the membership group. That want to get behind TGC, the TGC members. AskTGC Fridays is available now on Apple. That's for the first time. For the frictionless experience, you can go to the Apple feed, if that's how you listen to TGC via your podcast. In the Apple feed, you can click on the episode. It'll prompt you to subscribe. It's a couple of clicks. It's so much easier. That's if you don't want to download other apps like your Patreon, which is...
Though you still can.
They still can.
They still can. It's just options.
Siamese cat stuff, options. There's a free trial for this week only on Apple. You can also go to apple.co/TGC.
Now, they call that a vanity link.
That's a vanity link. And who amongst us aren't that?
You just type it in, you're like, fuck, that's vain.
So that's a new way. If you want to become a member of TGC, if you didn't want to download Patreon or you found it annoying before, then you can do it that way. You become a member and listen to Ask TGC Fridays every single week. That way, you can also get it on Patreon, patreon.com/Great Cricketer. That still exists.
And maybe we can describe a slight difference between both. Like, so same prices.
Same price.
Absolute same price. You get Ask TGC Fridays. Now, there are different personality types out there. Some people just want, if you just want the show.
Just the show.
If you just want hashtag AskTGC Fridays, you don't want the, palaver of community, of conversation, of people, coalescing around one place.
Others.
If you don't like others. And that may be your proclivity. Please. That's how some people hate others.
Yeah.
And that's fair too. That's just the truth of life. We're trying to cater to both types.
Yes.
Okay, if you don't like others, you just want the show.
Yeah.
You get your podcast through Apple. Just double click on that bad boy. Bang.
You can just look at it. It's in the feed there. You just look at it.
Got the show.
You click it.
Patreon.com/GreyCricketer as well if you want to get involved in the chat, etc. Same price, same show.
Hey, Cricket et al. Is popping off, Pezza. Pete Law's done some good stuff. We'll get into the ball tampering later. But
and Gids, Cricket et al.'s on the road. Some may have noticed this week. So, we're in partnership with Cricket et al., helping power the best in print. Just made that up just then.
Nice.
So people may have noticed it this week. It went, we say behind the paywall. Another way of saying it is you pay to get it. Mm-hmm. You pay for as a transaction
for experts' work,
for the work of two leading voices in cricket, plus me on rare occasions. So Pete and Gideon are going to be following India's tour of Australia for all 5 tests at the ground, writing daily. That is powered by the Cricket et al. Subscribers. The fact is you won't get more thorough coverage from any print outlet, in my humble view.
Best in the biz.
And in Gideon's words, that's all you'll be paying for. You won't have to worry about your subscription money funding a Succession-style family drama or payout for a horny executive. Gideon's words, information exchange. We have to be clear about that on this show.
Yeah.
But I do endorse and commend those words as well. You're just paying for the two of the best in the business. If you're really getting around cricket this summer, you want your print. Pete's always first to every story. Gideon's the best at writing the thing. Sorry for helping to power it, and sorry for the value once again. cricketetal.com. Just people who like cricket.
Now, completely on the other end of that scale, Wasted Saturday's been going for a couple of weeks now. We're back with Wasted Saturdays. We need your clips via DM.
We're getting heaps.
Please keep sending those in. We're really enjoying that. That'll be coming out on the YouTubes on Wednesday. All right, go on, Charlie. India, New Zealand, 3rd test.
India is a constitutional monarchy under Virat Kohli. How many times has Virat Kohli delivered for India in big matches? Virat's got to be like, this is about me. I am him.
I saw Virat Kohli tonight and I nearly cried when he hit that 6. I was emotional.
So Kohli's the king! Kohli!
I don't know, it's just become a habit now where, I thrive in those situations.
That was...
So embraced inspiration.
That was mastery. That was virtuosity. Kohli running it off the curvature of the off stump for 3 at that moment in the game was that was clutch. I've had the dream where I'm on all 4s and Virat Kohli's sitting on my back. And I've enjoyed it. Kohli was looking to me like a man without the beard vectors, to get it where it needed to get, which was wrong. The beard vectors were especially nasty. Mate, how sharp are the vectors going to be?
That'll be fucking tight.
Oh, fuck. Cometh the hour, cometh the man.
Cometh my face.
The beard vectors were especially nasty. Cometh the
Beard vectors. Cometh my face.
Cometh the
Beard vectors. No, the vectors will start. Cometh my face.
Yeah, I always had that flexibility in my wrist, I guess. Flexibility in my
Beard vectors. Oh my god. Beard vectors. Sam Perry.
Flexibility in my
Beard vectors.
Focus on your team as well when they time the ball, not just the...
Beard vectors. Nah, he's going to a barber every day. Kohli's going to a barber every day. Doesn't he look good coming out to the crease? We talk about the beard vectors during the series, and we used to specifically the beard vectors just gets
not
angry.
as sharp in the IPL.
Not as sharp in the IPL. He's happy. He's
softer
like
vector.
Softer vector.
More
yeah.
curvaceous
A little
beard
bit.
vector.
A little bit more curve to it. Anyway, they got pumped by New Zealand 3-0. First time India has been whitewashed in a 3-test series or more. First time New Zealand have won 3 tests in a series. First time India has not been able to chase a score of 200 or less at home in 31 attempts. Second lowest total New Zealand have defended in test. It's the equal most test losses at home in a year for India, 1969 being the other year. It also means that India need to win 4-0 in Australia to guarantee a World Test Championship final spot. New Zealand won the 3rd test by 25 runs. New Zealand batted first and scored 235. Jadeja took 5 for 65. Daryl Mitchell scored 82. Will Young, who has ended up being player of the series, scored 71. Yes. Second innings, India made 263, a lead of 28, thanks to Shubman Gill's 90, Rishabh's 60, and Ajaz Patel took 5 for 103. Then New Zealand scrapped their way to 174, meaning that India were chasing 147. Jadeja took another 5, and that was 10 for the match for him, 5 for 55 in the third innings. Ashwin picked up 3 wickets after taking none in the first. India all out 121. Rishabh was outstanding, 64 of 57, almost got them home. Next highest score, Washington Sundar made 12. Ajaz Patel, 6 for 57. New Zealand 3-0 away in India. I cannot believe this is a thing that happened. In fact, there have been other great series that have happened over the course of time. That might be not just, well, it is New Zealand's greatest ever moment in Test cricket, but that might be the greatest series win in the history of the sport. It might be.
Yeah.
It might be.
It's New Zealand's greatest ever result in cricket. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt.
No question.
The greatest Test series win this century, possibly ever. And, you know, as has been put forward, that's 3-0 to the Anzacs.
Up the Anzacs.
In an 8-test series.
Come on, the Anzacs.
It's very good. Always got to be careful of the 1KD dead rubber, I've always said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, happy Diwali, by the way, in India. But, mate, as Ian Healy said, you know, the perils of sweeping.
Get Heelzo in there.
You know, what else? A Kane Williamson-less
Unbelievable.
New Zealand team as well. You know, 5 of the top 8 run scorers, Kiwis, you know, facing the most intimidating spin duo ever of Ashwin and Jadeja. And, you know, 5 of the top 8 scorers include like Will Young, Tom Latham, Rachin Ravindra. You know, it's it's extraordinary. Very hard, and there's been some extraordinary analysis as well, which we can get into. But really, this is just particularly from a batting perspective. I mean, but what about their spinners? You know, it's done on the bedrock, on the foundation of Mitch Santner, Ajaz Patel, and Glenn Phillips.
Yeah,
who's a keeper.
And Santner didn't even play the last Test match. Done a strain, done a side. So he basically got like Glenn Phillips bowling bulk overs, and he doesn't really bowl, especially in Test cricket. He bowls some chop out in some white ball stuff for sure, but. Ajaz Patel, who was probably unders, he couldn't get it going in the second Test match, steps up. He's been unbelievable in Mumbai in the 2 Tests he's played. You think about the great series victories in the last, sort of in our lifetime anyway, right? I struggled to imagine a greater achievement than what India did last time they came to Australia, given the team that they had and how strong Australia were, the record at home, etc. Now, what India, it was incredible. I mean, this conveniently, for my purposes in this argument, is better than that. I mean, 3-0.
Yeah, because even 2-1, you're like, okay, well, they'll get on they'll bulk piss after the second Test. Kiwis, skeleton stuff, which is fine.
Yeah.
India needs to win the third one. And for the World Test Championship as well. Yeah. You're going to take 2-1. It's going to be just an unbelievable result as it is. But then to go and do it 3-0.
They've outperformed them in every single Test match.
That's right.
India were ahead of this game as well.
Yeah.
They got the first innings lead. New Zealand have bowled better seam. They've batted better. They've caught better. They've ground fielded better.
Yep.
And then they've outspun them. And they've outspun them with 2 of the greatest spinners to have ever played the game in Ashwin and Jadeja, and Washington Sundar has actually probably been the best spinner for India in this series. So
done them, you know that, and the Indians gave them a seaming deck. You know, then they tried to shit tit them out of it. They shit tit themselves out of the third Test.
I mean, and then it's it just reminded me a bit when Australia won there in 2004. Thank you. Without Ricky Ponting, and Gilchrist was the captain. Had some sort of rang true a little bit here as well, with obviously Tom Latham captaining for the first time. Without Kane Williamson, you would just think like, I mean, all these things add up, and it's just like they're no chance of winning a game here, especially New Zealand's record in India, and also have been pumped by Sri Lanka. By the way, how good is Sri Lanka now? They're the best team in the world.
Correct.
And it's thrown the World Test Championship into, I mean, basically every team can make it now. So I mentioned before, if we just want to skip straight to the permutation, so India need to win 4-0 in Australia to guarantee a World Test Championship final spot. Obviously, other things are going to happen, so it's going to be very difficult to give the exact equation, but Australia need to win 5 of their last 7 tests, so 5 against India, 2 against Sri Lanka, to guarantee a spot, so they need to win 5 of 7. New Zealand need to beat England 3-0 at home, so New Zealand at home, to be right in contention, but they wouldn't be guaranteed. South Africa, I think, are the best chance. So South Africa have got Pakistan and Sri Lanka in 2 tests. They'll be nearly guaranteed a spot in the final if they win the 4 tests at home, South Africa. Now, that would be incredible when you think about it. In February this year, South Africa sent a C team because to New Zealand because the SA20 was on, and South African cricket had decided that is more important than sending a strong test side to New Zealand. Now they could actually
the powerhouses then.
so now they could actually win the World Test Championship final. That's
having used 3s.
So what does it all mean? Those are sort of the 4, but I mean, Sri Lanka are obviously right in there as well. They've got to go to South Africa for 2 tests, and they host Australia. Australia are going to be doing real well, I reckon, to take a game off Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka. But they might.
Once it starts, I'll expect an innings victory. I see what you're saying.
Sri Lanka, the shit. So, that's somehow all to play for. But what does seem very unlikely is that India just win enough games in Australia, especially after this result. I mean, losing 3-0 at home. I mean, can it just be that all these players have declined at exactly the same time? I mean, they play well against Bangladesh, albeit against Bangladesh. By the way, South Africa's just absolutely pumped them in the second test match, run by more than an innings. So maybe South Africa are good there. I don't know. But something doesn't add up there. But it can't be right that they put in so many players, put in all these kind of performances at the same time. That's very odd, especially for India, who have such a good record at home. But that is an enormous decline at the exact same time. No runs up the top. Sharma, Kohli, spinners off.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I guess if you're being reasonable about it, which we shouldn't, it looks to me like they were not prepared, right? And perhaps because they play so much cricket. I don't mean to offer it as an excuse, but you can even see with the England side, for example, where they appear to build their lives around the Ashes, every couple of years.
Yep.
Really. And everything else is a lead up and a preparation for it. I just wondered with the Indian side, a couple of those older heads knocking around could possibly be forgiven for thinking, well, New Zealand will be a nice little trot before we go over to Australia. And Ashwin and Jadeja will get it done. Someone will make some runs and, they'll roll over for us.
Mm-hmm.
And New Zealand, it turns out, is played out of their absolute skin. I mean, the Indian players don't lose their class overnight. They're probably sick of playing on shit tips, to be fair, to a lot of them. Kohli's proud record, and he's struggling to get ball on bat to Glenn Phillips and, and these guys. But still, it's just an absolutely extraordinary result. Look, like everyone in Australia, I wish for nothing short of an annihilation.
Yeah.
When India comes out here.
Yeah. Can you smell blood, Pezza?
No.
Neither can
really.
I. I'm still a bit scared.
No. I was going to say, we live in goldfish times.
Yeah.
The first test in Perth doesn't start for a whole 18 days. That's a very long. A lot of things can happen in 18 days. Once you turn on the TV, different light, different hue, different smells, different scents, different TV montages and packages. Bumrah's, got this. He can smell blood with a Perth deck. Gambier says something in the press about backs to the wall. Yeah, this will go away. This series, Australia, India, I think still sits apart. I think India's batters are probably happy to be out. Will be happy to be out of India and what they get presented there in terms of decks. They've got guys who can play well on these wickets. I think that Australia hasn't played since March.
Yeah.
Watch how the narrative changes if India starts well. It'll be India's actually seasoned. They've been playing a lot of test cricket. Whereas Australia hasn't played since March. It's easy to spin it. So, but yeah, I mean, naturally there is a lot of, there's a lot of analysis out there about what has happened. Questions like, well, have the senior guys in the Indian team played their final test at home? That sort of stuff.
I saw Simon Dill make a point of there's a misconception that Indian players play spin well, and he said, well, that's not true at all because, gone are the days of your Tendulkar, your Dravids, your Laxmans, these guys who were exceptional against spin. That's not true of this generation was his point. But I mean, when you just a pure matchup of the talent on offer, New Zealand have been outstanding, and the decline of the Indian side in this series so quickly is just remarkable. It just makes me wonder, like, is there unrest in the camp and they're not happy? Maybe it's too much cricket.
At 3-0, you can ask any question you want. Gambhir, Rohit, you know, what are we looking at?
What is amazing is like the pool of players that India have had and will always have. And yet this generation will have won a T20 World Cup. They didn't win the World Cup at home. There won't be a World Test Championship final. Very unlikely.
Yep.
Very unlikely.
I did think they were...
it's unders again.
I did think they were going to get over the line with Rishabh, who...
Yep, same.
He's a freak. But nobody else could score runs. And then a Pistol ends up giving punt, you know, with what people in the ground seem to think was a controversial decision.
Yeah.
And, you know, punt didn't seem to be too happy, which doesn't help matters. But I don't know. I mean, for me, with that entire sequence there where Pistol, the video umpire, Paul Rifle, for the unacquainted, you see shots of Pistol in the box with some, like, Clooney-esque aviators on.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, who's fucking with that? You know, even in the 180. And I'm also thinking, is Paul Rifle hot? Is Pistol hot? Because I was digging that vibe.
Yeah,
I've got to say.
Yeah, you're into it. Yeah, yeah.
Pistol with Clooney aviators on, firing punt. I don't know.
Yeah,
Something to think about.
There was also just when he was talking through it, he said, I can see a banner ball, I can see a spike, I can see a deviation. So, you know, there was a lot of things going. There was also, you know, earlier, New Zealand didn't appeal for one and was going to be out. So, maybe, like, if you want to draw luck, then... look, to be fair, I don't think many people are actually saying, like, oh, India deserved to win. I don't think many people are saying that, but, you know.
And I think the other thing is, like, I've seen commentary around of, like, a lot of, you know, some analysis saying that the preparation of India's own preparation of its pitches have brought other teams into it, et cetera, et cetera. But given the size of India, you can actually find any comment about anything.
Yeah,
and call it out. You know, there's quite a lot of magnanimity there as well. I think Yuvraj's comments were fine. Like, Sachin's made nice comments. There's a lot of credit to New Zealand out there as well. You know, it's almost as though places aren't any one thing.
I really enjoyed Ajaz Patel when he took the last wicket. He bowls Washington Sundar, and then he's obviously just next to the stump mic there, and he's just screaming to the skies. He says, "You fucking beauty!" It's unbelievable.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's nice.
Yeah.
Good gosh,
and his record in come on the Anzacs.
Go on, crowded house.
IPL retentions though, Pezza.
Yeah.
More
importantly.
let's get into the real stuff. Only 10 overseas players retained, 36 Indians retained out of your 46. From the Australian side, Cummins at 3.6 mil, Head at 1.2 million. So bad news for those guys. But good news for your Fraser McGurks, your Starks, who are back in the free market again. So, you know, more bunts coming their way.
I heard Cummo's taken a pay cut. He's agreed to a pay cut.
Yeah.
I want to look into that. Why? Anyway, yeah, Fraser McGurk must be gutted, given that he came in on minimum pay at Delhi. He's lit up the IPL, and one of the worst results for him of all time would have been for Delhi to say, "We'll keep you."
Keep you at the same price.
At the same price, yeah.
More good business from Delhi, I would have thought, by the way. Really good.
So, yeah, Fraser McGurk must be gutted to be in the free market with that impact sub rule maintained.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'd be looking at property, Jake.
Absolutely.
Coming your way, brother.
Yeah, Stark was signed for 4.43 million last year, not retained by KKR, despite helping them to the title earlier in the year. Now, obviously, he was, Stark was with unders for most of the tournament, but then the big boys, step up when it's time for the big boys to step up. But he did point out that he hadn't actually spoken to them. They just cut him. And I just, I think if that, I'm not saying, that Mitch deserved a phone call and that I care about that sitting in a studio in South Melbourne, having played third grade 15 years ago. But I do think little snippets like that highlight, why the mercenary culture works both ways when it comes to the IPL. He's just like, I didn't hear from him. All good.
Yeah.
Just go back in, or
you would
maybe
think that would make the players not care about which team, But
Almost.
that's that wouldn't be true.
Or play the market a little bit in a way so as to try and game it to get the most money for them and their families.
Yeah.
But anyway,
but that's just a thought.
That's one way of looking at it. It's not like. This is, it's a shame that it doesn't cultivate the loyalty among overseas players. Unlike grade cricket, for example.
Yep.
Where, you might, you get into, quid pro quo relationships. You can, you give someone a lift to the ground. They pay for petrol or tolls. You know, they get you a job labouring. You know, you need the money. You've moved out from your miso, you know, for reasons undisclosed. You know, they're the sorts of ties that bind at the club level that you just don't get at IPL level.
No.
So, the game is changing for sure.
If you want to come and see TGC live on stage, then get in quick because tickets are selling. Hey, especially in Adelaide, where there are currently 10 tickets available for our show in Adelaide. That is in Thursday, November 28th. That's coming up in 24 days, Pezza. Better get ready for that. Special guest Greg Blewett, so get in quick. In fact, get in today because it's going to go real fast. Greatcricketer.com for all the tickets. In fact, ticket links are in the description of this video and audio, aren't they, Charlie? Is that right? Correct. Hey, Astor Theatre, Perth, 4th December. Special guest Stoinis and Agar. Now,
Stoinis and Agar on stage.
You're going to need to be there for that. Astor Theatre, it's a banging theatre. It's a great room. Western Australia's always looked after us, Pezza. Yeah. And we've looked after Western Australian Premier Cricket, haven't we? Oh.
Well, they look after us.
By providing a lot of content.
Exactly.
They have been good. So
it's always a hot show in WA.
It is. It is.
Emotionally.
That's going to be good. The Raw when they go and sort of come on stage.
You say.
Yeah.
You just say names out there and you get big visceral reactions. Yeah. You know? Like
Ryan
Kerry
Hart.
Stokes.
If you want to see Matthew Hayden walk on stage with us, Tivoli Theatre, Brisbane, Wednesday, 18th December. Come along, bring some mates there. Tickets going for that as well. Hey, Enmore in Sydney, Thursday, 2nd of Jan. Special guest, Ricky Ponting.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Now, Pezza, last year we sold out the Enmore. We sold out the Enmore, Pezza. We set a goal. We wanted to sell it out, and we did it. And you know what? This one's selling faster than that, so we're going to do it again. How does that make you feel?
This will be gone in a couple of weeks, max.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And we've already sold out one show in Melbourne. We're doing a second show.
Sporting Capital, that's why the first one went.
Thursday, 9th of January, Forum Theatre. Special guest.
We can say.
It. Who's the guest, Pezza?
None other than Yarn King Peter Siddle will be joining us on stage. He's of the voice that you hear in the introduction saying you better get nude and get in the showers or throwing all your cricket gear away. And I think that'll be the spirit with which he joins us on stage.
Naked. We haven't discussed that yet, but
I won't be getting naked next to Peter Siddle.
All right, so there you go. If you want to see TGC live, if you want to get around the summer, if you want to get around the boys, and actually in many ways make you feel like you're playing for Australia or India, then you need to come along to these shows. The electricity in the room is fantastic. It's electric. It's a vibe. The electricity in the room is electric? Words. Greatcricket.com or ticket links in the description of this audio and video if that's how you want to do it. Okay, Australia A versus India A. India A were rolled for 107 in the first innings of this game in Mackay. And Brendan Doggett took 6 for 15. Best ever figures there. Rolled through India A. Trouble early for Australia A in their innings, but they made 195 thanks to a top score from Nathan McSweeney. Slug Webster, 33. Cooper Connolly, 37. And Tom Murphy, 33. Low-scoring game again. So had a lead of, They had a lead of 88 in the first innings. Mukesh Kumar took 6 for 46 for India A. Then India A in the next innings made 312 thanks to Sai Sudarsan's 103 and Devdutt Padikal's 88. Ferguson Neal took 4 for 55. Ferguson keeps churning out the wickets.
Keeps taking wickets.
Keeps churning him out. Australia A chase that score of 225, 3 down, thanks to Nathan McSweeney's 88 and Slug Webster's 61.
Red, both.
Both of them red. Marcus Harris, 36, Cameron Bancroft batting at 316, Constance 16. No runs for three of the guys in the bat off. So
it's a full-scale bat off, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's full scale.
Yeah. This ends up being a very small part of the story of this game, but let's talk about McSweeney first and the bat off. So no runs for any opener really in the game, India or Australia. Constance Globe first innings, Bancroft Globe first innings, Harris 17, and then 16, 36 and 16 for the other guys. But McSweeney, 88 red in the second innings, 39 in the first.
Shapes. It's making the shapes, he goes. And
yeah, it is.
It's we're in Melbourne Cup season, we're in US election season. And I just think the winds are whispering McSweeney. Irish Sydney Sweeney. Scottish Sydney Sweeney, I would have thought. And I mean, we've even seen, speaking of, politicking, we've even had articles saying, Australian cricket legend Ricky Ponting has backflipped on his choice for the Test opening spot. Now we've wondered who Ponting would give the papal blessing. To. Now it's not sort of I don't think it would be dignified of the Pope to be backflipping on his own calls. But that's what Ponting's done here. He initially said Constance-Bee's backflipped. I think he's read the tea leaves. Tea leaves are blowing with Sweeney.
Yeah, this week.
This week they are. Yeah, there's still another game. I want to get onto this, by the way.
It's almost like there's no one outstanding candidate.
Yeah.
Or you sort of throw a blanket over him.
When someone scores 100 and there's 4 games to go, that doesn't mean that they've got the spot.
No.
Yeah, a couple of observations from this game from me, he goes. It occurs to me that a lot of people can't say Sam Constance' name. They just need to say Constance.
Constance.
That's just what works for their mouths.
Yes.
Constance. It's not hard. Constance.
No.
Just do it. Just make the effort.
It sounds how it looks. Just say that. There's no tricks to it.
Constance. There's a Constance. Just open your mouth. One thing.
Flies.
Someone else. Oh, true. Yeah, it could be a fly issue.
Yeah.
Someone else said Australia bat off if it fails cock off. That was from Patreon. I disagree, but anyway, another observation: Cooper Connolly is Jadeja. I just watched a bat 37, so that's Jadeja.
Yeah.
Look, I thought McSweeney looked good. I want to highlight a different angle to this whole conversation. If that's possible,
yeah.
Which I believe is our, it's our obligation as people applying the grade cricket prism.
Yep.
I want to talk about Marcus Harris and Cameron Bancroft. Now, did you see, he goes, their reactions to their dismissals in the first innings?
No, I didn't.
Mate, you have not seen the brutality of the game and what it can do to you until you've seen the way they throw their heads back, having got out, especially Bancroft.
I saw how they got out.
Especially Bancroft, who didn't hit it.
Yeah.
Right, who then takes his tally at that point to 10 first-class runs from 5 games with an Australian berth on the line. To me, this is fucking real cricket. Like, while everyone's there going goo goo gaga, spittle foaming at the mouth at the young, virginal, fresh, whispered talent of Sam Constance and Nathan McSweeney with his hair just so and his Australia A captaincy and his earmarked, Marnus shapes or whatever. These 2 ex-pros are there. Let's take a moment to remember, how much time they have spent to get to this point.
Yeah.
The runs they have churned out all over the world, right? In the worst outposts imaginable, Adelaide.
Yeah.
Training sessions, reserve batting gigs, the amount of time you pack your kit, you unpack it, the acrimony they've been through, etc., accumulating runs everywhere, bouncing back, from adult issues that they've gone through. A couple of, there's a private school boy, who's scored a couple of runs and the coaches whisper about him. And then there's McSweeney, the anointed 25-year-old who bats 4.
Right.
And they've all got the inside track on the opening. The amount of times these guys have opened the batting, just faced new pill after new pill.
The best bowlers from every state.
Best bowlers every state, all over the world, county cricket,
Yep.
you name it, changing states, in Harris's case. And, the rigmarole of being a reserve bat for a whole year, missing out on games, etc., all to get to the start line at Great Barrier Reef Stadium, to play on a divoted pitch.
Yeah.
And especially in the case of Cameron Bancroft, one just flicks his thigh pad, triggered, pack him. You're like, to me, that is what makes cricket fucked and what makes cricket great, because you will never, ever see that reaction from a white ball player who quite rationally, understands the way to cope emotionally with the game is to focus on the process. I execute. If I get out, I get out. If I don't, I don't. If I actually rode the emotions of those dismissals negatively, I would be in an asylum. Right?
Yeah.
But in red ball cricket, where you can kind of work it out and figure out methods, sometimes you just go through a run. Oh, and the pain that I feel for these guys, and they've still got a game left. Like, we're all saying it's going to be McSweeney. Everyone's saying McSweeney. Like, cricket gods, if they had anything about them, and they do, well, they'll punish Bancroft and Harris further. One. But if one of them was to go out and just fucking go big
Peel
at the
one off?
MCG, peel one off for the pros, you know, for the battered and the beaten Holden cars out there, you know, for the syrupy Gatorade bottles and everything, the dried sweat, you know, you wouldn't begrudge them that kind of, those runs, you know, the runs that like are hard fought and hard won. I just wanted to shine a light on them because it's very, very tempting. Look, I'll pick McSweeney, by the way, because I just want something novel, cost of living crisis.
Not for me, Henry Hunt for me.
Yeah, I need to see something. I say, Constance, come in as a reserve back, get around the boys, learn how to bleed baggy green and in the tubs as well.
Yeah.
Okay? That's just me, but I'm just giving a shout out and shining a light on that.
Mate, I think, first of all, beautifully said, well spoken. And I was also thinking about Cameron Bancroft because
I'm horny.
Because I'm horny. Just thinking about like the runs he peeled off, and for the last couple of seasons, he's been a leading run scorer. No mean feat opening the batting, especially in these decks where they have been for the last couple of years. And you get to this moment in time where there's an opportunity, like your spot is now available. Like Warner got the extra summer last year, and then now this is your spot. Just start well enough, and his form has just completely dropped away, and then he gets a bad decision, right? And you just think about like, that is so unfortunate. I just think like, but then I also started to think, well, maybe this is the exact reason why Warner did get the summer last year instead of Bancroft, because there probably is this feeling that's like, look, he's done everything and he is a very good player, but we just don't think it's quite right.
No
and
doubt.
then it's been shown in this moment. Now's the opportunity. You must take it. I did feel like this summer when it started, it's his. He is the most likely to do it. Just do enough, a couple of 50s, and then he's at least going to get the first test, maybe the first 2 test matches. And it's just completely fallen away from him. Now, like, that is just, I feel like it's both so unlucky that this has happened, and also it's probably just shown it's just probably the level below. He's just going to be a fantastic Shield cricketer. Maybe that's wrong as well. I don't know. But at the end of the day, there's clearly no outstanding candidate. And if we're getting to this stage of the season where it's like, someone show us something, someone show us a run of form, a moment of consistency, someone give us anything, and basically we're changing our mind every few days. So it kind of shows like there's a weakness here. Now, I think about McSweeney opening the batting because he bats 4. And it's like, well...
It's funny how, like, for McSweeney, batting 4 is very close to the top order.
It's the same anyway.
Opening. Steve Smith, no. He needs to be at 4.
He's got to come after me.
Yeah.
I like it better when he's after me. You know, it's going to be the same problem when Cam Green comes back, because Cam Green's one of the best batters in the country. So when he does come back,
he's going to get better while he's away too.
He's going to get real. He's actually the best player we've got right now. You know, that's going to be an issue as well. But, you know, I guess we'll cross that bridge. So, mate, I don't know. To be honest, like, if any of them played, I'd be cheering on all of them to score 100.
Hey, goldfish.
I feel like with Bancroft specifically, who seems to have, he's lost his spot, then he's gone away and maybe figured it out.
Yeah.
Performed better than he ever has before, but it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, but he's still got another game.
He does.
And we just react to things. Like, Two weeks ago, Bumrah was about to retire half the Australian side. Now India's lost 3-0. They're going down 6-0 in a 5-test series.
Yeah.
So, you know, Steve Smith's back at 4, you know, covering his laces. So,
you know what? Bancroft scores 100. I think he's in.
It's just I do think they're going to pick McSweeney also for a transition situation. I also think McSweeney's like.
I see. Sorry.
So many words that go on, aren't they? Like someone came out and said something. Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
No, I think that he has. It looks like it's got his spot. Even guys that were like pushing the cases of others. I noticed, like, you know, Tim Payne a couple of weeks ago was saying, like, I think Josh Inglis should be in there, right?
Yeah.
And then when we talked to him last week, and he's the Aussie coach, he really backed down from that.
Who's that?
I remember he was a kid when I was keeping.
Josh English.
Yeah. Even Ricky Ponting, you know, was saying Constance, and now he's like, no, McSweeney.
No,
you know
I was joking. I was joking.
The wind's whisper.
I know, that was
McSweeney.
That was,
But anyway, so I do think they're going to pick him, and McSweeney will probably make runs the next game anyway. He looks class. But anyway, I don't know.
By Webster.
Yeah, slug for me. Let's go.
Ball tampering. What happened? Did it happen? Am I imagining things? Should we move on? Sweep it under the rug?
Yeah, well.
Something happened. Or did it?
So background, if you've seen this before, Australia A, India A, Mackay, Great Barrier Reef Stadium, final day. Australia A need 60 to win or some shit. And you turn it on and there's Sean Craig, the umpire, at the non-striker's end, and he's surrounded by every single India A player. And I don't mean like in a football surrounding the referee sense. They're all standing around in a circle. But there does seem to be a little bit of tension, and what appears to be happening is Sean Craig is explaining to the team why they are now bowling with a different ball, and he's heard on stump mic saying, "You scratch it, we change the ball," and also, "It is because of your actions we have changed the ball." To which Ishan Kishan says that is a very stupid decision, walking away, and Sean Craig says, "You'll be on report for dissent." Now, hearing it, those words in print sound like it's something he's going to do. Probably more of a caution. It was more like, if you behave like that, you'll be on report for dissent. But the main thing for me was, you scratch it, we change the ball, and it is because of your actions we have changed the ball. Firstly, very, very odd scene to be to witness an umpire making that explanation on field, on camera, to the team. Anyway, 3 hours later, post-game, Cricket Australia issues a statement which begins with, Cricket Australia has moved to soothe tensions. But it turns out that they have later clarified that what actually happened was ball deterioration. Ball deterioration. So that's clarified to mean ball deterioration, and Craig's warning that you'll be on report to dissent becomes Ishan Kishan will not be reported for dissent. Now, we owe it to the game, he goes, and I'm coming at this from a neutral perspective. I've actually sought comment from Cricket Australia on it, who are working on it, has to be said. But we owe it to the game to figure out if this was India stuff or if this was pint of milk stuff. Because both options are in play.
Yeah.
The issue is we don't know.
No.
Right? Now, can I keep going here, by the way?
Yeah.
I think people are naturally going to furrow a brow when they hear the words. This is not conjecture. You can hear it. When you scratched it, becomes ball deterioration a few hours later. Basically, the determination of an umpire, I don't think that's an allegation, it's a determination, at least to the players live, that you scratched it, turns from a solid to a gas. And he's now just ball deterioration. And also Ishan Kishan's not on report anymore. However, from the other side, and I'm trying to be fair here, I think as an umpire, if you're going to say to a team, you scratched the ball, whether you're in the change rooms or on the field on camera by the stump mic, you best have evidence. Yeah. You should be able to prove that happened. Yeah. I think if you're going to say it, whether you're saying it to India A or Roseville under 13s, as is what happened once. Because I think it actually, I think if you're going to say it without evidence, it actually erodes confidence and undermines those times when it is fair to criticise India flexing its political muscle. I completely understand if there's a keenness from Australia A and India, or for Australia and India to move on quickly from a peripheral A game, but I think that if they're going to be opaque about how this has changed, that it's only going to ferment conspiratorial conclusions on both sides.
I can see a world where this is the last we hear of it, and
it shouldn't be, though.
Here's a spanner in the works, which is not helpful at all. If Australia had been accused of that, we'd be all over it. We would be all over it. Like, I mean, this is part of going back to sandpaper. Where like at the time the punishments they were so extreme for the Aussie players, right? And that the argument was that every single team does this. Everyone does something, and this isn't the first time. And it's like it was really the Australian public. I keep saying this all the time, but the Australian public had just had enough, and it was like, no, this is absolutely not what we stand for as a public. And I just feel like so if the Australia A side had been accused of that, this would be an enormous story. Now, like, is that right or is that wrong? I mean, fundamentally, most people probably wouldn't care about this because the game was done. It didn't affect the game. But it does really feel like something has happened here and it's been completely swept under the rug. That's how it feels. That's how it's been communicated. Like if an umpire is saying you scratched this, that does suggest that he has evidence.
That's why I'm saying it's actually, because what this does is when you make it opaque, when you do try and say, let's move on, nothing to see here, no one's going to talk about it anymore, it leaves a vacuum for speculation. And people know that when Australia plays India, particularly online, but just generally, there's always a accusation and counter-accusation between both sides of using nefarious means to achieve advantage, right? So something has changed. An umpire has alleged, let's downgrade it to alleged, that scratching has taken place, and then no explanation of what happens to that allegation has been filled. Right, so it leaves a gap for Indian fans to go, Australian umpire is cheating, right? Because it turns out that it wasn't a scratching or whatever. Or from the other side, Australians have gone, well, the BCCI, nefarious political influence has ensured that the Indians will get off lightly and they're not subject to the same rules as everybody else.
Right.
Now, nobody wins in that situation. Ahead of a series that could be a powder keg for that kind of stuff. Did someone say something racial in the crowd? Did they not? You get claim and counterclaim. What they should do is find out, did the umpire go too far? Did he make an allegation that he couldn't back up? In which case, poor umpiring, especially doing it on the field, surrounded by players. Was it poor umpiring? Did they throw him under the bus, or did they say, well, no, that was a mistake? Or did this somehow get vanished? Did this get turned from a solid to a gas? I do think it deserves to be followed so that everybody knows, was a mistake made by an umpire, or did the Indian team scratch the ball? I don't understand. I mean, but everyone just seems to say, this will just go away.
Well, as you say, I mean, what we're all scared of is that the Indian team and the governing body cracks the shits and then they threaten to go home.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
But they'd be entitled to crack the shits if an allegation
if it's a false allegation, then totally, yeah.
And I think that Indian fans would be entitled to be like, we can't say that we scratched the ball if you've got no evidence for it. I think if you're an umpire, you can't just be saying that shit.
If I was a player and I played a game and our team was accused of scratching the ball and that wasn't substantiated or it wasn't true that we knew that, I'd be fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
Now, if I'd been caught, I got away with it.
Yeah.
Then
and this is the thing,
I'm playing for a good club.
Then there's this it's good that happens on the field. Then there's this peripheral economy that takes place where a lot of this umpiring and relations between players, it takes place in the dressing room and no one knows about it. You know what I mean? You go and go, hey boys, you're scratching the ball. I'm changing it now. And the players go like, no, we didn't. And the umpires go, well, do you want this to come out in public? All right, change the ball. You hear stories about that.
Yeah.
But it's taken place on the field. I got the impression, speaking to people, that the umpires did tell the players about it off the field.
That's how it was reported. They told both captains.
But next minute, the Indian players are around the umpire on the field and he's talking about it. What's happened there? I mean, there's more to know. And I do think ahead of a series that could be a powder keg where there's claim and counterclaim and people talk bullshit online, and they get tribal about it, it should be cleared up. There shouldn't be fear about it.
Now, let's talk about the real intriguing thing this week in cricket, an ODI series against Pakistan. The Australian squad. Okay, so when people listen to the game's about to start in 5 minutes, by the way. So, there's that. But is there something that we're looking forward to in this game? Me personally, I'm just looking forward to cricket being on the TV at a time when we can watch it, and the Australian team playing in the colours that I know and like against a hapless Asian team that will thump.
Well, I mean, I read that Pat Cummins has given Jake Fraser McGurk a license.
Now we're talking.
And I also read that Jake Fraser McGurk is to be unleashed. Ooh. So hitherto has been on a leash.
Okay.
At least a figurative or metaphorical leash in the team. So can't wait to see what he's like unleashed, given he just tries to whack everything anyway.
I'm keen to watch a bit of Matt Short, actually.
Yeah.
As like a next generation sort of vibe, a bit of a rejuvenation for the white ball team. And he's a guy that's been in and around some squad. He's played a few games, but I'd like to see him sort of increase his level, increase his output a little bit. A
couple of people getting behind him for a captaincy gig for the T20.
The T20s,
a few senior guys in the Aussie side, no knowledge about this on background at all. But I reckon there'd be a few senior guys who'd be like, I'd imagine I'm next in line.
Yeah,
Your Maxwell's, Zampa, Stoinis, etc. But Payne's out there saying Matt Short. I mean, he's Adelaide Strikers coach, but
yes, that does help. Yeah,
he's got. I agree with you. I think Short's a great player, and maybe they'll just look past those guys.
I mean, Fraser McGurk is so box office that I think every single person in Australia will be looking forward to seeing what it can do if it gets going, because it is so electric and exciting. But I'm just thinking about in the consistency sense, and someone that's actually played quite a few games for Australia and has higher aspirations of captaincy and whatever. I wouldn't mind having a bit more of a look at Matt Short.
Yeah, look at Short.
See what's going on.
Interesting.
See what's going on.
Gary, are you saying don't sleep on Short?
I'm saying don't sleep on Short.
Don't be sleeping on Short.
Don't be sleeping. Also, he's engaged or he's married to Maddie Wilson, the swimmer.
Okay.
So
a separate piece of information about his life.
Who's just a friend of mine. Yeah. No, the swimmer, Olympic swimmer. So yeah.
Oh, so you're saying you want to invest in the sporting pedigree of their family?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of that kind of stuff.
Gary Kirsten walked away from the job. Who was the co-coach of Pakistan with Jason Gillespie. Obviously, our Australian Jason got the job done against England in
Matchday strategist
in the Red Cake series, as McGurk would call it. But I don't know what's going on with Pakistan. Who knows what they're going to bring out here. I guess Babar Azam's going to be playing, because he wasn't playing in the Test matches, but the last 2 Test matches against England in that Test series. But I mean, who knows? I mean, Pakistan can be a great side, but they very rarely are. So I'm looking forward to just complete domination to get into the summer. A bit of appetite being whet for the Test series ahead.
A couple of white cake games to whet the appetite as a aperitif, if you will, for the main. So
see Zippy getting to some work. Cummins, I guess.
A couple of wins for Australia.
Actually, I'm actually not into the bowlers. I want Australia to score 400.
Working on loads. This one day series is a load series for him.
Yeah.
He's just working on his. He could have played a Shield game, which is roughly the same format as Test cricket, but he's worn his New South Wales kit from 4 years ago enough. He's like, I just work on my loads in the Australian team, boys.
I warm up for the Test series by playing a few games for Australia.
Yeah.
The white ball setup and captaining outside as well, and all the media and press associated with that. Cooper Collins in that side as well, in that squad. Anything else in the white ball series you're going? That's exciting. Good for you.
I saw Andrew McDonald's been extended, and so has Pat Cummins. They work as a duo. Yeah, they feel like the coaching captain duo is maybe it's not a new thing, but it feels like it is. McCullum Stokes work as a duo.
Yep.
Cummins and
sort of an
McDonald's.
axis.
Yeah, like they an axis of power as well. Rohit and Gambhir, interesting. Don't know. Maybe move to Kohli.
Should we speak to Matt Wade?
Yes, and we should thank the people who allow that to happen. That is the people behind Ponting Wines. It isn't just Ricky Ponting. It's actually winemaker Ben Riggs as well, whose name I'm shouting out. Nominative determinism, you hope. But Ponting Wines backing TGC once again, and he goes, It just is the season.
It is the season.
Yeah.
It is the season. You're looking at your long lunches. You're looking at your longer days. You're looking at your Christmas period, the festive season, of course. You're looking at like your afternoon drink, something like a white or a rosé. A rosé is a lovely summer afternoon drink, isn't it? Yeah. You can look. What is the Rihanna Rose from the Ponting Wines at pontingwines.com. And then you guys
developed a habit where when you're searching for your next word, you turn into
Brad Hodge. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the Pinot Grey? Ponting's Captain's Call, the Tasmanian Pinot Grey, 2004, mate.
School 6 sitting grandma. I can't do it. Hodge might have been playing. Oh, look, my latest, consumption of Ricky Ponting, and not the wines though, that it adorns our house. It's just nice to have the Ponting name in and around your house. It's a matter of safety.
It's a conversation starter as well,
because you can say it is a good drop. It's a good drop. But the last one I saw was it was a clip of Ponting, grainy-ish. Australia's wearing pink jerseys, playing. I'm guessing it's. Did they they wouldn't have played one-day cricket in that weird pink jersey they had, would they? Thinking it might have been, but they had 210 on the board, and someone's bowling to Graham Smith at the start of the game. Ponting's at this, funky short point position. Mm-hmm. Smith bunts it to Ponting. Ponting, quick as a flash, lightning, like one movement reflex, throws at the non-striker's end. That's a 20-metre throw or something like that. Boucher completely out of his ground. Now he misses the stumps, but that's why I like the clip. It's just the purity of Ponting's reflexes and athleticism. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even result in a wicket. It's just like, wow, this guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's how you feel with Ponting Wines.
pontingwines.com. All guest interviews this year brought to you by Ponting Wines. So get behind Ponting Wines at pontingwines.com.au. Is it?
I reckon.
Pontingwines.com.
I reckon they're going to have a redirect.
It is a .au, yeah. Yeah, but you're right.
You reckon someone's sitting on pontingwines.com? Just sitting on it?
Watto.
Yeah. URL squatting. Watto.
All right, here's Matt Wade. This episode is brought to you by Saily. Saily is a new eSIM service app brought to you by Nord Security. Here you can choose from several affordable eSIM plans in over 160 countries and 8 regions. With a Saily eSIM, you'll always have a connection when needed.
He goes, I'm going to give you 8 reasons why
8 of the best.
You want Saily. Download once. With Saily, an eSIM can be installed only once, eliminating the need for users to install a new eSIM for each country. Another one, affordable prices. Significantly reduce and even eliminate roaming fees with affordable eSIM plans in over 160 countries. Next one, there's global and regional plans. Planning on visiting several countries during your next trip? Here goes, are you?
Yes.
Yes. Thought so. Save on eSIMs even more. Get a global or a regional plan and travel with the same eSIM plan. You save time. You don't even need to wait in line at the airport or to get a local SIM card. You avoid scams. Avoid scammers selling fake SIM cards outside train stations and airports. Stay connected. No more wandering around and looking for public Wi-Fi spots. It's compatible. All Saily eSIM plans are compatible for iOS or Android devices. Finally, full refunds available if your device isn't eSIM compatible. He goes, 8 reasons.
8 of the best there, Pezza. You download the app, you buy a plan, you install the eSIM. There is a QR code on your screen if you want to scan that and download the app.
All right, we're talking to one of Australia's most versatile ever cricketers with 225 games for the nation, pretty evenly spread across all 3 formats. 5 tons, 19 50s, 240 catches, 26 stumpings, and a couple of spells at 140 clicks. He's a World Cup winner, an IPL winner, a national captain. He's batted in just about every position in every format. Recently, Ashton Agar said he's a dickhead in the best possible way. I just love him. We don't know him well enough to be able to call him a dickhead, but we love him. Matt Wade, welcome to the studio of the Great Cricketer.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Mate, you've just hung him up. And you're immediately back in the national setup, just coaching. What's that saloon passage like? Just straight from playing to coaching without having to go through grade level.
Yeah, still working it out. Starting from the bottom, as I was telling Andrew McDonald. It's been really good. Obviously, I've known for probably since the last World Cup that my playing days at international level were done, and over the last few years been kind of leaning towards the coaching side of things. So did a little bit of youth program stuff in Tassie, which was really interesting to start. Obviously, being around elite teams, I get the language and it's easy to communicate with players around that. But going back with 15, 16-year-olds and kind of learning at that level has certainly been something that has been interesting for me. But I'm learning a lot along the way, and then get an opportunity to come back around the team, and feels like kind of I never left, which is nice.
Well, I mean, you haven't really, like,
you haven't.
It wasn't when you were in the
That's probably
team.
what it feels like.
I mean, we're talking here today, and that this is the morning of the much heralded ODI between Australia and Pakistan at the MCG, the big one.
It's on.
It's definitely on.
Yeah.
No, that's harsh. But what is the day like for you today as a coach of the team that you were just in? Like, how does it differ? What have you got to do today as a coach of this team?
Yeah, it's certainly more chilled. I can go and jump and grab a coffee and not have to worry about getting abused or failing at playing. So it's a little bit more relaxed, but heading down, like going down slightly earlier and setting up and things that I've never had to do before, which is going to be interesting today. But even the lead in the last few days has been, interesting to see it from the other side, just to get into your work. I got marnused and I got smudged at training, so that was 3 hours of wanging balls to those boys.
It really is like that, hey? Like, anytime someone talks about coaching those two, or especially Smith, like, it's like you're obligated to talk about using the wanger and the dog stick. But, like, that's not a cliche. That's actually what happens.
Yeah, no, especially I'm the work experience kid, is they're telling me. So
all right, the hierarchy's
the
just
hierarchy's
changed.
coming down to me. So like I get Smith, but it's good. It's just to get on the tools and work with guys at the other end is something that I've never done before, and I loved it, to be honest, just to see players like that go about it, because generally when I'm playing or preparing for games, I'm not really too interested in what Smith and all the batters are doing. I'm probably more concentrating on my preparation. So to see the boys go about it over the last few days has been really cool, and see what the coaches do, it's it's going to be interesting.
But when you're doing, sorry, Hugo, so I just need to drill in on this throwdown stuff. Like,
Yep.
you used to be a player, you're now the coach of, or a coach with like Smith and Marnus and these guys. Like, is there a temptation when you're giving them throwdowns to be like, let's smudge it? Look, I do think you're crabbing across a little bit. I can just see, I'm trying to blow off that front pad kind of thing. Like,
Hey, try and get him out. You get bored.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bowl half volley every ball, and I think if he can hit the middle more, then he's going to get out of there quicker. So I'm trying to get him up.
You don't want to give him too much trouble.
Making him feel good. But no, I'm not touching Steve Smith technically as well. Div is the batting coach. I'm here as more of just shadowing, and then I'm fielding coach for the T20. So I'm not touching Steve Smith or any of those guys, to be honest, unless they come and ask for some advice that I can try and help them. But I'm just getting half volley after half volley for them.
With your own career, so 36 tests, 97 one-days, 92 T20s. How does that sit with you in your career? Like, do you reckon you could have played more? Is that about right for you? Like, how do you feel about your international career?
Yeah, I think that's more than what I thought I was going to play.
Really?
Definitely, yeah, I think so. I mean, I started really young as well. I was 23, so I mean, if I could have got it together earlier, then I probably could have played more for Australia, or more consistently for Australia. I think if you look over my whole career, I was in and out quite a lot, which is something that I think if I'd have got my stuff together quicker, I could have played more consistently over a long period of time, and especially at that younger age. So, no, I think it's about right, especially the second coming. If I had finished in that first stint,
right, I
would have been probably disappointed I didn't get everything out of myself. But the last 4 years of my career, I was playing at my best and came in and did what I thought that I could do earlier in my career. And yeah, I think if I didn't have that, I'd be disappointed. But to have that second, start, almost, it feels like 2 international careers, to be honest. It's something that sits comfortably with me now.
Yeah. Were you a gun as a kid? Like, were you like in academies, under 19 stuff? Were you always like the best player in the team? Prodigy stuff, yeah.
That's a yes.
I grew up in Tassie. Let's remember. So
yeah. It's pretty
obviously
easy.
The talent pool is not as deep as Victoria and New South Wales. They've got abundance of kids. So I got opportunities early. I played 5 or 6 under 19s. I was playing first grade at 14. So I certainly got opportunities that maybe
Tassie,
yeah, it's not Sydney Test cricket. So
thanks for saying that.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Well, because Punter played first grade at 14 as well, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's a little easier to identify the super talented kids in Tassie. That's just a population thing. So, I got plenty of opportunities, as I said, 19s, 17s. I played the World Cup for Australia. So
you played Aussie 19s as well?
I played Aussie 19s.
Okay, so you were a gun. I
was okay.
I played 50 times for Australia. Play.
But
I thought I was better at footy, to be honest.
Now we're talking.
So it was a fallback.
Yeah, it was a fallback. I grew up. I wanted to play footy, and then I stumbled on cricket. So luckily,
that's right.
What about like winning the IPL? What does that rank for you? Because I know a lot of guys have like varying relationships with the IPL. But did you play for Delhi as well?
Yeah, I played 1 year for Delhi.
1 year for Delhi.
Greg Shifford was coach when I was at Victoria. I went there and I played 1 year. I don't even know. It was like IPL 3 or something like that. It was early days.
Was it loose then, like Indian Party League?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, we got told we weren't allowed to party. My initiation into IPL. No parties. Owner didn't want any more of it, so it must have been the 2 years before that was quite loose. But then after the first game we won, and then Davey Warner's on the back page spraying champagne in an after party, so that didn't sit real well with the coaches at the time. But no, I think the first few years were maybe a little bit more around that. Then they started to. Yeah,
because you played 2 years at Gujarat, right? And then your first year you won it.
Yeah, that was really cool. Obviously, brand new team.
Yeah.
Coming in playing. It was a COVID year though, so it was a tough time. But yeah, really, really cool. We went from playing pretty much with not too many people in the stadiums, locked down, to finals. They lifted all the bans. We flew to Calcutta and played, a full stadium there. And then our last game was the first time we played in Ahmedabad, which is our home ground. That was the first time that we got to play there in front of 120,000 for the IPL final. So that was super cool. And then to win it in the team's first year was even better. And we should have probably won the second year as well. They needed 10 off 2 in the second year, so we could have gone back to back, and Jadeja got them home. So,
of course, yeah.
But super cool experience, especially playing at that stadium for the first time. I couldn't believe it. Well, that's the first time that I'd seen it the day before the game that we got to play the final. It was unbelievable.
That's pretty cool, yeah. You have a very, just thinking about India in their national side at the moment, you have a very emblematic relationship Australians do to New Zealand when Neil Wagner was bowling bounces at you and you just letting him hit you.
Yeah.
And then you said, keep coming, big boy. Which is a great relationship with Australians and New Zealanders generally.
Yeah.
How the fuck did they just win 3-0 against India at home? How has that happened? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, isn't it? I saw in the media they said the third wicket wasn't going to spin, and I caught a little bit of it. It was turning square again.
Yeah.
So, no, they played out of their skin.
Do you play against New Zealand in tests?
Yeah, I played that.
Of course
only
you
here.
did,
Only the Wagner test, I suppose, that everyone remembers, Matt. I remember for the World Cup and that's basically it. So over 225 games. But no, we played them here. They're always hard to play. They're super, super competitive. And then, guys like Southie and that, you think they're coming towards the end and then they go again, again. So no, they're always there or thereabouts.
But that's always our prerogative, right? To go like, they're competitive and they give you a game, and it's just great how they get the most out of themselves. I mean, they've literally just beaten India 3-0 away. Like something Australians could only dream of. But we still won't give it to them, will we? Be like, India might have shit tipped themselves out of it in the third test, and they caught well in the first test. It can happen, 3-0 Anzacs. Wadey, when it comes to you often conceive of your career as like being in two parts and stuff, but if we could talk about the first part a little bit, I look at the team that you debuted in and some of the players that were knocking around there. So it's 2012, it's Ponting, Clark, Hussey, etc. Like, are you able to? And your reputation preceded you as a feisty, combative cricketer and stuff. I would imagine you'd be right at home in that team around then. Like, can you give us a sense of what that team was like to be part of versus probably the teams, the Australian cricket teams now?
Yeah. Well, obviously completely different. There's a lot of legends, but how I felt going in that team perhaps is how people feel coming into our team, like with Cummins and Stark, Hazelwood, Smith, like they're greats of the game. Warner, obviously. So it was just a cool experience. I got picked for basically 2 games because Hads was resting, so it was actually a nice way to go into the Australian team. I had no really expectation or pressure on myself. I was coming in as to replace him for a few games, so got the opportunity to open the batting and just went out and kind of slogged it. So it was a nice way to come into the team, not thinking, I've got to take my opportunity and go long term here. But so cool, like pinch yourself moments to be batting with those guys on debut. I remember batting with Mike Hussey in my first ODI, and he's like, I don't know where to hit it. These blokes are all over me. What do you reckon? I was like, you missed the cricket, mate. Just work it out. I don't know.
It's your first game.
It's my first game at the G, but I didn't know, but that's how Huss kind of got himself going. He was always like, they're all over me, and he could get himself going. But like on debut,
we all get ourselves going in different ways.
I'm like, Mr. Cricket's asking me what to do in my first game. So no, it was certainly a different environment, like completely different environment. And Punter moved on, and then Huss moved on, and then we had young players. So I was really tight with Hughesy. Me and Hughesy were kind of like just kicking around, pretty brash, abrupt. I'm sure the older guys didn't really enjoy us too much, and we found that out when Mitch and those guys bowled to us in the nets. They would just let it have it. So, but we learn. I'm sure that I annoyed a lot of people in that team early doors.
Because when you got picked, I remember the conversation around at the time being like you were very vocal behind the stumps, and Australia was trying to create like energy in the field. Like, were you directed to do that on the field? I mean, I know it just sort of comes naturally to you, but was that a positive sort of contribution you could make by bringing energy, i.e. talking into the stump line?
No, I just that's just like me. No one really needed to tell me to get more vocal or more aggressive or more competitive. So I think it's just a product of the environment I grew up in Hobart. My old man played like 300 senior games down there, local footy, and I would like Thursday and Tuesdays, or like I was just around ultra competitive people for a long time. My cousin and his brother, like ultra competitive. So it's just the environment that I grew up in, and then walking into Victoria at the age I was like 18. I walked in with Harwood, Nanez, White, Hussey, McDonald, Hodge, and I'm just like, what is going? And that if I thought I was competitive, those guys were. Yeah. Even worse. So it's just a product of growing up through Victoria, and then when I got to the national team, I didn't know any different. I'd just do whatever it took to kind of win, and I'd love to back my teammates and make them feel like I've got their back at all times, and that's kind of I pride myself on that. And then to see the stuff that came out this week and guys saying that they enjoyed that part of my game is something that I'm probably most proud of. The runs and all that come and go, but as long as the players that you're playing with enjoy playing with you, I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
That's a part I think that maybe general public, I mean, speaking about myself, might miss, because when we think about your, combative nature on field and that identity, you just presume that it is just who you are, but you've grown up in the sheds, your dad played all of this footy, your cousins have gone to the elite level as well. Yeah. And then you left Tassie at 16, right?
I was at ODI. I would have just been turned 18.
18 to go to Victoria for 10 years. And then, we've had Maxi's book come out last week, and he was describing, and it's been described before, just how, let's say, hard that Victorian team was, where like the abuse of each other was worse than what was given to other players, and that was all part of your nurturing as well. It wasn't just your nature. You've just been in this hot pot of people being combative.
Yeah, and I loved it. I read Maxi's comments in his book, and that's obviously one person's opinion. My opinion of I loved that environment. Yeah. It was great. I started playing with John Hastings and Johnny Holland and guys that I ended up playing 10 years. But Clint McCall, we kind of grew up as the younger bucks in that environment. But it was certainly I never felt abused or people didn't like you. It was never like that. It was just they were just ultra competitive. A lot of banter flying around, but I'd never played in a team or with a bunch of people that as soon as you stepped over the line, it was just narrow focus to win the game for Victoria, and they could really just strangle oppositions with the way that we played. So although it was disjointed at times, it was like a disjointed family at times off the field. As soon as they got on the field, they were so good. Some of the best teams I've ever played with. Tell me a team that's got a lineup stacked like that. Robert Quine couldn't even get a game in that team for a long time with, Hodge at 3, Hussey at 4, Whitey at 5, McDonald at 6 and me at 7. It's kind of
Victorians listening to this just purring. I remember the great team.
Yeah. And it was,
Well, you won everything.
We're good. Granted, those guys won't get many opportunities at the international level compared to the New South Wales guys, so we had
rightly so.
We had them for a lot longer of the season, but that was. And playing at the MCG, I wanted to play AFL, like you said. I grew up dreaming of playing at the MCG, and the closest I got was in front of 15 people at a Shield game. So thankfully, I got some more chances at the international level. But even just walking up the tunnel at the G to play Shield games, just wow, you're here.
Pezza mentioned before about when you first started for Australia. And you mentioned there about the transitioning between the great team and sort of the younger team, and because Michael Clark was captain, but Ricky Ponting was still in the team. Yeah. Was there tension in that side because of that, or did you observe that? You might have been too young, I suppose.
I was pretty young and naive about it. The thing that it's reported a lot between the tension, whether there was tension between those guys. The thing that they did, it never came into the change rooms. I never felt any tension in the change rooms when I got in there between any of the guys. So when it came to cricket, maybe they just switched it on and were ultra focused about trying to win games for Australia and making sure that didn't filter down to the younger players. But I've heard, obviously, it's been spoken about, but my experience is they never let it trickle into the change rooms if it was there.
Yeah.
Can I ask as well, you mentioned Phil Hughes there earlier, and I just think about the first half of your career. You say you're living away from home. It's a competitive environment. You've got a great mate in Phil Hughes, and he dies. That's a really heavy set of experiences for a young guy. And you just mentioned there before that you guys were quite similar, right? And we never had a chance to meet Phil through our work or anything like that. But can you tell us a little bit about what he was like in that sense? Was he like a Matt Wade? You know what I mean? Is he as brash as you? What was it about him that made you guys get along so well?
Yeah, he was a similar person. He wasn't as brash as me, that's cool. But he was a cheeky. Yeah, he was a cheeky kind of personality. Made everyone smile, which everyone's spoken about. But just little jabs here and there in the background. Certainly wasn't probably as brash as me and up front as me, but could certainly make everyone laugh. But we just had similar values. We're both left-handers for a start, so cricket-wise, we gelled straight away. I went to the academy when he was at the academy. He was 17, maybe. He was younger than all of us, but you could certainly tell that he was going to be something pretty special. So we bonded there. He roomed with Finchy, so I used to go in, and those two would just be, talking shop for hours at the academy. So that's where we kind of bonded, and then we got opportunities to play international cricket together, and being so young, we just gelled really, really quickly. And, you know, his values are really similar to mine. Like, he's family orientated. We just speak about, you know, his family at home and the bulls that he was trying to start, and he was just all over that kind of stuff. So the one thing that surprised me about Hughesy is, I've spoken about this publicly, is when my wife and me were having coffees during the Ashes, he'd come down and have a coffee and we'd talk, and him and my wife Julia would talk constantly about female fashion. Like, he was like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but he knew everything about, and they would just like that. That's how he was. He would be able to strike a conversation, make everyone feel so comfortable, and make everyone feel comfortable being around him. He was, he loved the Red Bull vodka, which didn't go down as well at 2:30 in the morning when you're going to jump on a bus and go somewhere in England. But it was a shame that we didn't get to share more time around cricket grounds, or we lost him way too early. But the memories that we have of him, and everyone speaks about it, are like ultra positive, and we miss him, but grateful for the memories and the time we got to spend with him.
Because then, like, also the footage of you bowling in the Test match at Barrier Reef, he puts the gloves on, which is like it's the most dystopian thing anyone's ever seen.
Oh, not for me.
And the first ball you bowled almost rolled under who was it? It was against Sri Lanka, wasn't it?
It was against Sri Lanka. Yeah,
Samawira maybe or something.
Maybe I can't remember exactly. I was shaking at the time, thinking, "Oh no!" You know, keepers always like, "Yeah, I'll bowl," and then when you actually get thrown the ball, you're like, "Oh, okay, it's going to happen."
Was it Pup must have been captain?
Pup. So I grew up I bowled, and I always talk at my bowling up so much. As well.
It comes out right.
So it's so daunting when you get a chance. But I bowled a maiden in that first. I should have stopped after that first goal. Should never have bowled another ball in Test cricket. So, but he was more excited than me, I think, because he fancied himself as a keeper. I'd seen him catch him a few times in New South Wales games when someone got injured and stuff. But he's like he fancied himself as a keeper, but he looked horrendous in that footage.
But it's like the Olympics, where they think they should put like a variable in so you can see how good the athletes are. Guys like that make your keeping look good, or like it's the same with bowlers as well.
That's right.
I mean, we've got Marnus doing something similar at the moment with his bowling, but like with yours, it was at a time when Australia was kind of looking for a fifth bowler or something. I was like, well, hang on,
we're looking for Flintoff.
Wait till you get bat 6 and he can crank it up above the 130s. But we were talking to Marnus. Marnus reckons he can hit 132 or something like that.
Marnus reckons he can get there.
Yeah. What do you think? You probably, now you're his coach. I'm
not sure he'll get the ball to even. He bowled leggies in the nets the other day, and they look pretty good. But he's doing the same thing with Queensland. Yeah, I think he could probably. He'd get 131. I don't think he's going past me.
The 2019 Ashes, you had such a great series. I mean, you're Australia's second best batter, and like, there's no shame to being second to Steve Smith, i.e. Bradman in that series. You scored 100 in first test at Edgbaston, and then you scored 100 in the last test, where I think you were the only sober person in the Australian team. So I want to know how much the team celebrated after retaining at Old Trafford, because the last series was awesome, but 2019 series was great as well. All the ups and downs, Jofra against Smith and Marnus coming in, and then Stokes at Headingley, and then Australia gets the job done at Old Trafford to make it 2-1. And then it just must have been one of the biggest piss-ups of all time, because we gave it away at the Oval.
The Oval,
so how big was the celebration at Old Trafford?
Yeah, this gets talked about a lot. Honestly, the batters probably sent it. Like, we enjoyed ourselves. But I remember vividly, all the bowlers went home quite early from that.
Okay.
And then, so maybe they should have stayed out later, because we got our asses handed to us at the Oval. No, it was solid. Yeah. It was a solid one. I think after Leeds we probably had a few more beers after Leeds, to be honest. After there was a longer break, we had a tour game in between.
Yeah.
And the heartbreak there. The most heartbreaking thing about that game, as we came off, we all duck in to go to the toilet, and both ice tubs, were filled full of champagne beer. Iced all the way up to the top, and you just, as you're walking past, you just, oh no. So they were ready for us to celebrate.
Do you still think about Headingley? I think about it all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Because you think about the losses and the drop catches, right? Rather than your successes.
Yeah, you do. And I remember vividly in that game being like, this is like, the 2005 Ashes. Like, I was like, this, although we've just lost that game, this series is amazing. People are going to talk about this series for generations. So although losing was like heartbreaking at that stage, at the time you're aware that this is good for cricket. This is good for the Ashes, and this series now is going to go down as one of the great series that's ever played over here. So, it was heartbreaking. It was more just watching the balls that he hit sail. Like none of them had any right to go for 6. Like you just like, I remember Marnus. I was at deep backward point to Gaza because he was switch hitting.
He was switch hitting, yeah.
And Marnus was at long off, and I remember ball was going to like long off, and he like, yes, we got him, and they're just like 2 balls above Marnus's hand, like multiple times. Then he switch hit one out to me, and I was like, oh no, that went about 50 rows back.
I didn't think with the switch hit. That was like into against the rough
like
as well.
Yeah, something
and
silly.
It went miles.
Yeah. And it was spinning quite big there, like and he bowling wide into the foot marks. Yeah, I just remember it being like catch it for about 2 hours, like that old catch it. It's gone. But yeah, it was amazing to watch.
Was there some point where you're like, oh, he's going to do this?
Yeah, probably like 10 runs to go and stuff. Yeah, he hit all those shots off Gazzy get talked about. Like he hit a shot off. I don't know if it was I think it was Hazelwood off the like back foot straight.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Hazelwood or Camo was bowling, and at that stage I was like wearing all kinds of trouble here. Like that, no one hit shots like that at that time. So, more like you more think about the referral, like both the referral, using the one referral, and then not getting the decision on the second one. They're the ones that
Jolly did a number on us there.
It's easier to blame referrals than yourself.
Of course. No excuses.
But no, that series was awesome. Like, I'd been out of the team for so long. I wasn't even going to go. My wife, I've spoken about this publicly a lot. I got an email. Well, Adam Griffith got an email during a Shield game that said that I was a player of interest for Australia A, and I was at that stage. I hadn't been picked in any Australia A. I hadn't even been a sniff around the Australian team for 4 or 5 years, and I was playing all right at the time, and I was just done. I'm not going. We're about to have our second child in Melbourne right at the same time. Like, I've played enough Australia A. They know what I can do. Like, I'm just not going. I'm done. I thought, I think Trevor Holmes might have been at the ground. I was going to go, like, knock on the door and just say, don't bother. Like, if you want to pick me for the Ashes, that'd be great, but I'm done with Australia A. I feel like, you know what I can do. Anyway, I thought I'd better call my wife and just see what the timeline looks like. And she talked me out of it. She was like, listen, let me speak to him. If we can induce and have the baby early, then I don't want you to finish your career and be regretting this decision. So let me see, give me 20 minutes. And she rang me back and she was like, nah, we can get it done, don't do it. So
wow,
crazy, like sliding door moments. And then we came over here, had the baby. 48 hours later, I jumped on a plane, went and played Australia A. 2 days later, I scored 100 straight away in that game, and that just started things. I just got rolling. But, like, toughest thing I've ever done leaving, but Julia was right. Like, sitting here now, if I had have shut the door then, it would have been all over for me. So, crazy how, like, little moments work in international careers.
Is that the A game where Australia has sent, like, 40 players over to go play at the Rose Bowl, or the one in Southampton?
Yeah, that was at the end of that tour. So I went on that. The Australia A tour was so much fun, by the way. We had like Hazelwood wasn't playing in the test team at that time. He was there. There was like it was a stacked Australia A, but we were playing counties that were not all that strong at the time, and they were resting players. So we were going in with like ultra strong teams and demolishing. I just absolutely. And then we played England Lions in Kent, and then straight after that we went to Southampton and played that foot, which was. That was a tough week. Like, the wicket was horrendous. Yeah. And no one got runs. And guys were not getting overs. It was a tough week, but we got through it.
JL was just telling you to be hard.
Just get better. And then, like, I remember it going, and then we did. After that, they started to send a wicket for anyone that wanted to bat. And then I think Chris Romain hit Payne in the head first ball of the. Because he hadn't got a bowl for that whole week. And he was fuming, and he bowled him bounce a first ball straight in the head, and then one through the top. And I just remember him being like, this wicket's diabolical. And we got Trem, who's got the shits, trying to kill our captain. This is great.
But this is JL foaming at the mouth going, yes, now they're ready.
Whilst also earthing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, feet on grass. Now, that is the sort of commencement of what a lot of people would regard as the second act in your career. So I know you've spoken about this before. You obviously you moved back home to Tassie. You even I know this because we talked about this with the ACA, but you started a carpentry apprenticeship as well. You really were serious about being ready for life after cricket. And then Hoff was saying this the other day in a tribute to you, like, and I don't know if it's a cliche. You can tell us here, but like, he seemed to suggest that, you know, it's that paradox of once you stop putting all the eggs in the basket and there's life outside cricket, then you start playing better cricket again. Like, is that overly simplistic, or is that what's happened to you? Because you did seem to be able to find new energy, into your career and give it a second act.
Yeah, that's 100% what happened.
Yeah.
It's really funny because, like, a lot of people think me coming back was just, like, tunnel vision motivated. Like, I want to get back in the Australian team.
I became an apex predator. I watched
I'm going to
Instagram
chase
reels.
him down.
I watch American Psycho every morning.
It's actually getting away from cricket makes you better at cricket.
The complete opposite for me. It was like, started an apprenticeship, which I lasted 3 months for that. So that's not coming around anytime soon. Obviously moved back, family, been around my family again, understanding that, if it finished, it finished. I was really comfortable with that. So it was like, I stripped it right back and kind of wanted to work out why I was even playing the game. Like, was I playing the game to just please everyone, or was I playing the game to play for Australia? And, like, I just sat down, I just ended up working out. I remember vividly. I just wanted to be the best player I could be. Like, whether that be, like, I played grade cricket for Clarence, or whether it be I played another 50 Shield games, or I played for Australia again. I didn't really care. I was just like, I just want to be the best that I can be. And by stripping it back like that, I just found real clarity, started enjoying going to training. I did the apprenticeship. I was doing 2 sessions a week with Tassie leading up. Only did the main sessions, bat versus ball. And I go in there and I just remember being, like, energised. I was excited to get to cricket, excited to face the boys in the nets, throw a bit of banter out, smack them a few times, and then leave, go get back on the tools. And, like, just having that ultra clarity and then stripping it back and starting to enjoy the game. I just, everything started to tick. I scored 1,000 runs that year and then went to the 2019 Ashes. But, it was just a bit of a effort mentality. And I wrote that in a notebook before I went to England. I was like, effort, if I get out, hitting it up the chute 1,000 times, I don't really care. I'm going to go out there and just give it a red hot crack, and things just started to click and it worked.
So many like the guys in the white ball team, once you got back in, they just love that energy. Perhaps the energy you're speaking about, like I know during the 2021 World Cup when you guys won it, and like we had Stoyne on the show at the time, and you guys had just won the game against South Africa. Yeah, which was is that the first game of the tournament?
That was the first
game, and you basically had to win it, otherwise it's real tough to get through the group, right? Yeah. And you and Stoyne put on a partnership to win the game.
Yeah, I got to hear, just so people understand. Like, it was a low-scoring game.
Cool, yeah.
They made 118. So it was a really low-scoring game.
Yeah, it was.
You guys were 5 for 83, and you needed 36 from 4 overs. So in a low-scoring game, that's just under tens, and you put on 40 with Stoyne to do the business.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I didn't know it was that many, actually.
Yeah.
And then Stoyne comes on the show and he's talking to us about how you're yelling out for the non-strikers and they're nervous, we're calm, which has become a catchphrase of the show.
I hear this a lot,
And people just say that to you in the street now.
I hear it, I hear it a lot,
So like that intensity, like I think the boys just love playing with you so much because of that sort of stuff. But I mean, Stoyne was just loving that.
It was also, I'm coming back, big fella. I'm coming home.
So Stoyne, he remembers all this stuff out in the middle. Yeah.
You're locked in. Like
I'm locked
this is
in.
just
I
waiting.
don't even remember most of that. And then he comes on the show and says that, and I'm like, I'm sure he's sprinkling all this. Did this even happen? But I think I remember that game and being like super intense and like that was the first time I'd really moved down to 7. I'd obviously played heaps with Stoyne, but we hadn't really done too much together. And I remember us like getting to the wicket and we just had a connection straight away. You bat with people, you just have like connection with straight away. And I had that with Stoyne. That was straight away on that day, and we managed to get us home. But I do remember some of those quotes. I don't know if they were right on the money.
No, it's good.
Yeah, but
we do merch around it, so don't ruin it. Okay, that's actually
that was that was the start of it for 21. It was we win that game, and then I didn't bat for a little bit longer. I think I batted against England, and then not to the semi-finals. So you don't get many opportunities in like batting down the order in World Cups, and that partnership was massive for us because the first time we went back there, we changed the whole lineup. I'd been opening before that 21 World Cup, and then we just rejigged the whole thing. I went to 7, and 4 years later, I was still doing the same thing.
Yeah,
and like that. I mean, the team was struggling heading into that World Cup massively. It was lost to West Indies and Bangladesh over there, and then. You speak about it kind of modestly just there, but this is T20s in 2021. I mean, it's a pretty mature game by now. You're a top order bat, and you're asked to remake yourself as a finisher in a World Cup, a completely different position in T20 cricket. You have that innings with Stoinis, that partnership with Stoinis, and then we get to the semi, and Australia's 5 down, a long way from home, chasing 180 or something like that, and you need more than 12 and over with 5 overs left. But through this partnership with Stoinis, you put on 81 off 40 balls with him, and you get us home with an over to spare. You scoop Shaheen a couple of times, maybe 3 times for 6. So, you know, are you the father of Shaheen Afridi?
I don't know. I'll let you say.
And you made your way into Hodgie's top 20 knocks in his book as well, by the way.
Highlight of my career there.
Yeah. 41 off 17 is the knock. So.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. It was similar to like the mentality I had when I didn't think I'd play again. It was kind of walking out to that. I was like, well, this is it. If I don't get runs here, I'm never playing for Australia again. That'll be it. We're bowed out semi-finals and I'll be done. So I kind of had that mentality walking out. I was like, I'm just going to try and enjoy it. Could be it. And we were so far out that I was like, I'm not sure we can get there. Like, we're going to have to do something special. Anyway, first ball that I walked out there, I was at the non-strikers when you didn't have to go back. So Maxi got out, switch hitting, caught on the boundary. I was at the non-strikers. And he hit Storny hit the first ball for 6 off the spinner. And I remember being like, all right, we'll give this a crack. If I can just hang with him, he looks like he's locked in, we're going to give this a crack. And that's kind of exactly what I did. I just hung in there for the first 7-10 balls. I reckon I was like 7 off 7 or 7 off 8. Drink came out, Storny, like we need, I don't know, 60 odd to win at that stage. And Storny's like, 30 for you, 30 for me. And I was like, I'm 7 off 7. I'm not getting 30. That's going to be a hard effort. And then, I kind of just, it goes like a lot of people speak about my innings that night and keep talking about it's good. But
and so they should.
So they should. Yeah. But Storny goes like unnoticed in that whole thing. He carried that run chase all the way through to basically when Shaheen came back on, left-hander, left armour, and I was like, my turn, mate. I'll go now because I think if we get to the last over, you're going to get us home anyway because you're smacking it. So without him there, like that certainly wouldn't have happened. And just everything just aligned. That had 45 up all night, which for me is rare. And I was like, they're going to take pace off all night. I'm thinking they're going to take pace off. They're not going to give me pace on because I'm going to lap them. And they just never really took too much pace off, and I made the right call at the right time. I got dropped, obviously. We can.
No, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about too much.
I've forgotten that, and so I reread it. I think you raised it. Yeah. Hassan Ali.
Hassan Ali. So he went slow ball, dropped, and then I was like, he's gonna.
It's not like Pakistan threw it away. It was Australia.
We got it done. Yeah.
Winner's mentality.
Correct.
That's right. Apex predator.
So and then just guess right. I went lap, lap 6 lap or whatever it was, and they done it. Got another 3 years. Got another. Those 3 shots got me 3 more years. Got me some IPL deals. It was a good night.
That's great. You know, you've had so much of that in your Australia career, though. You've had so many times where you're like, oh, this is it. This is it, and then you managed to pull it out of the fire. The number of times you probably invited family and friends to things and gone, thanks for the memories, and then you do well and you're back in again.
It's been a running joke for a long time with my teammates. Every ground that we went to for the last 3 years, either the captain or one of the players would stand up and be like, oh, well done to Wade, he's played his last game at this venue. So it's been a running joke that I've been ending for 3 years. The boys have a field day, and this week they've had another field day with another announcement of a retirement, and then when it's all over, I'll retire again. So
that's so funny, man, because you said in the press, much more diplomatically, like, look, I've had really fluent conversations with Bales and Ronnie about when I'm going to finish up over the last few years. So now what you're saying is people just stand up and give you shit saying it's your last game. That's how it gets done in the Australian team.
Well, I've been telling everyone it's my last game now. So that's been happening. So that's the fluent conversation. It's just one of the boys just ripping me. It's good.
Have you texted Camo, Ronnie and George about the opening test batting spot? Just thoughts on coming back?
Yeah, I was going to whack him on at training yesterday and try and fledge my case for the test spot again. I've done it before, I was telling them, so time to get me in. You couldn't pay me enough to face those guys at the top of the order anymore.
You're if you don't mind us asking about a news line that's happening now, like your opinion matters because the last time they were out here, India, Australia did have a makeshift opening bat. Who might have an opinion about what that experience is like and whether Australia should go down that path again of getting someone to open the batting who, doesn't do it game by game.
Yeah. I pioneered that position. Nah, I don't have an opinion. I think you can certainly, players can certainly do it. If guys bat 1, 2, 3, 4, I think especially Test cricket, although the wickets are getting harder now, they're seaming a lot more than probably what they did. I think if you're in that position anyway, it's just a mindset shift to go up and open. So I think like the answer is yes. I think anyone in that top 4 could go up and do a great job, but
just not Smith or Marnus. But
Smith doesn't want to do it. Well, Smith will do it, but he's averaging 60 at 4, so we'll slot him back in there and he'll be good to go. But the guys there's 2 guys obviously that got a heap of runs behind them, and then there's a couple of younger guys coming. But Mick Sweeney got runs last week and a couple of days ago or yesterday in the Australia A. He's got another opportunity in an Australia A game, so I don't know which way they'll go. I suppose like with Uzi's a little bit older as well, so it's whether they go a younger guy or whether they just back the weight of runs. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, if Mick Sweeney, to answer your question, Mick Sweeney had to go up and open at Test level, he'd be absolutely fine.
Because there are a lot of Mick Sweeney experts out there all of a sudden, even though we've learned his first name this week. But you're someone who actually would have come across Nathan McSweeney. He looks neat, compact. He looks the business.
Yeah, he was neat when he was at Queensland. Younger player, developing, didn't have a rate of shots, but you could tell like he was a solid player, and then he's gone to South Australia and started to really develop nicely. But yeah, he got 100 against us at Bellerive last year, and you could tell like he had the game. His technique looks a little bit like Martin's. Like he's grown up watching Marnus. Right. You kind of watch him. He plays the ball really late. He's got the game for top order. So yeah, he's last 2 years he's been exceptional. Started to captain South Australia, leadership. Hear like really good things about him. Super guy. So if he gets the opportunity, he'll be fine.
Tell us about like the different ways cricketers think about the position in which they bat, right? So like with the Aussie team, Camo's been out there saying like best 6 bats, the order doesn't really matter. It's how we make runs as a unit, right?
Yep.
He's a skipper, you defer to that, but also he's a bowler. So,
I was going to say that.
Exactly. So he'd say that, and there's a bit of batter bowler stuff in that. And then, Uzi's there going like, well, Marnus has opening itis. And we've all like, especially if you've batted before, like it's not an unusual thing for batters to become quite attached to their position, even for like psychological reasons that may not have any rationality in them other than it just feels good. Like I put my couch there in the room because the feng shui is good and don't ruin it. My vibe is good. That's where it goes. And I also hide my laces so I can't see them. Anyway, but you on the other hand, you've batted everywhere, and like to me, there's a political dimension to it as well, because sometimes if you haven't got the status in the team, you'll go where you're told, right? Yeah. But if you do have the status, then you put your case forward a little bit. I feel like that's what's going on in the Aussie team at the moment. Like Pat probably wants the guys to be ready to bat wherever he needs them to bat, but some of them are like Marnus is like, I just like 3, and I think I can hold on to that.
Yeah, so. Yeah, absolutely. There's certainly guys that are really comfortable in the position they bat, and generally they're the guys that are at the top of the game.
You've got to have enough runs.
You've got to
make that calculation.
You've got to make that calculation. Yeah. Then underneath that, there's what they call the bottom feeders. That's my kind of style. That opening position comes, you gobble it up and just go for it, see what happens. So, you're 100% right. It's kind of like you got to have the runs in the bank to be able to say, no, I want to bat here. Otherwise, when you're a player of like what I was, you go wherever you needed. You have to. Otherwise,
whereas you wouldn't have done that at Tassie, right? At Tassie, you're the big dog, so you'll be like,
I batted everywhere for Tassie. Don't worry. Doesn't matter at Bellerive. You can bat 6 and be in the first 10 minutes. So, I think there's certainly guys that are locked in. But opening, to be fair, opening is like a niche position, and a lot of openers would tell you it's a completely different. Like they're a different breed of cricketer openers. They're into their games, the techniques. They watch so much bowling. There's certainly a different mentality around opening, but like you said, if you can just be a bit more chilled about the whole thing, you can bat anywhere. I think in the top 4 or 5.
Because when Greeny comes back, presumably Sri Lanka or
he probably
maybe Sri Lanka.
I think he's missing IPL.
Missing IPL.
Okay. So he's going to be miles.
Right. So World Test Championship maybe like the same problem's going to exist because he's one of the best 6 batters in the country. But like maybe if Greeny like is a bit more vocal about but he's such a quiet, shy guy. He's probably just going to do what he's told. But he might be the big boy. Literally and figuratively.
He was pretty good at 4 though, wasn't he? Last time he played. So, I don't. I wouldn't want to be picking that.
Well, he was good at
Thankfully,
four.
I don't have to. George and Ronnie can sort that out. But yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have. I'm sure they're all saying the same things. To have like working out who can come in, and like, I know that Hetty's been spoken about. Sri Lanka, he could go up. He did it in India, didn't he? So there's a lot of options. Completely different to playing here. When you go there, you can you might have all rounders. You won't have as many quicks, I would assume, or spinners. So could be a completely different lineup once you get there, and who knows who will open.
Yeah,
They're the same discussion again.
Marcus and Usman, they want security of Steve Smith behind them, right? Even though Greeny hit 170, but it's a different kind of security.
Didn't feel right.
They need, so. Wade, I want to ask you about, and Higgins mentioned this before as well. Like we talked about first act, second act, and like I see this quote from Adam Zampa, Zorba, and he said that like you used to rub him up the wrong way, and now you're inseparable. Like at some point in time, like you went from being the like attack dog, hostile, old school sledger within the Australian team to like being accepted by the rare blokes of the white ball team, Stoinis, Agar, Zampa, and I'm keen to understand. That transition, how it happened. All of a sudden, you got ski goggles on. You're in their clique. It's to an outsider like me, I'm just that's a niche question, but how did that friendship blossom?
Yeah, well, I remember I saw the comments. I remember that game. I wanted to kill him. Like he was making a joke of it. He was impersonating me off the ground. I was in the middle of a shield game. I wanted to have him. I didn't really like him from that point until he started playing. So, but like same like thing. Like when people start playing, I forget about. Like I'm pretty old school like that. Like what happens on the field happens on the field. I'm cool, chill afterwards.
Yeah. Also helps you to say whatever you want because you forget.
Yeah, it gives me a license, kind of. Yeah, license. Oh, that was on the
memory
field.
loss.
No, I didn't mean that. No.
Let's have a beer.
Yeah. So, but then he came into the team and like we were really good. I think where they kind of started getting around me and accepting me is like I don't think they expected me to be who I was off the ground, and then like after a few beers have a bit of fun and do things that I don't think they expected that I would do, and then that's kind of how it all came about. I felt like I could give like great energy with the team around those guys coming in, and they created different energy. They're like heaps younger than me, different music, different upbringings, like different outlook on the game because they've come in and there's 1,000 different teams they play for, and they're just like they're really settled and chilled, completely different environment to what I obviously walked in, and like you just pick up on that energy, and I worked out because they didn't expect it to me. Like if I could give more, it just created greater energy around the group. So I would do things that they certainly didn't expect me to do, and from that we just created a great friendship, and the last 3 years has been so much fun. Most fun I've ever had in my international career. Like Pat and Ronnie, like I don't think they get the credit that they deserve for really creating an environment where you can turn up and be anyone and just walk into the Australian team now and be yourself. You'll be accepted. The team will look after you and you'll have a ball doing it. And I think the last 3 years is like around those guys and around what the leaders have created, it's been so much fun. I'll certainly miss that, although I'm trying to get around there as a coach. But I miss it as a player.
So as a keeper, you've had the opportunity to create, identities within people. You'd expect me to ask you about Gary, but I'm not going to. I'm actually going to ask you about. No, it's not about that. It's actually about the fact that everyone understood Adam Zampa to be called Zorba, but 6 months ago he's not. He's Zippy. And we'll just. I've got to say, just to give you a sense of our experience of it watching. Again, niche, and I apologise, but like the thing that occurred to me, hearing you now describe Adam Zampa's bowling, like just Adam Zampa as Zippy. Or Zip.
Zip.
It's just how good it must have felt to say. Just it does feel like it rolls off the bowling Zippy. Yeah, Zip. Yeah. That's good. So, are you able?
It does feel good.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame you guys got knocked out, but no one saw it because it was on a different channel. But so that's all good. Footy was on, but can you just run us through the origins of Zippy?
Yeah, I'd love to claim that I had heard it before. I came up with it, but it certainly wasn't me. So
it's can't say too much more. Or?
No. It's a funny story. So we went before the World Cup, we played those practice games, and we had 4 players and 15 support staff. So
that's
we had
Hodgie was playing.
Hodgie played. Andrew McDonald fielded. Bales fielded, and Borra fielded. Our fielding coach. So we're playing those games, and in one of those games, Borra, our fielding coach, is like gone for a ball and kind of like buckled his knee a little bit, and we're like, shivers. Yeah, I'm like, we need to get him out. Like they're putting By the way, our boys are putting him at mid-wicket and cover, and he's our fielding coach. I'm like, can we get him somewhere where he's not going to get the ball? So I kind of like speak to Marsh was there. I said to Marsh, like, get him to. So he goes to short third man. We got like 2 of them up in the circle in the power play. Anyway, ball, and he's standing next to Zorby. Ball goes up, like straight to where Borra's fielding. Under lights at Trinidad, you can't really see. Everyone's like, catch it. And Borra's like, knees buckle in. And he's kind of like, he's trying to get to the ball. And Zorb's like backing away because he wants none of it. Ball goes up, Zorb wants none of it. So he gets like really close to the ball and Zorb's a metre away. Ball's coming down. And as it's about to hit Borra's hands, he goes, "You're Zippy." And then Zorb dives over and drops it. So I don't know why. All I heard was "You're Zippy," and I was like, firstly, that's hilarious because you've run out of the way and Zorba's dropped it. Like Zorba's got up, like, what are you doing? And secondly, all I heard was "Zippy," and then from that point onwards, the whole tour, like, as soon as we go off the ground, the boys just taking the piss. Like,
that's good.
"You're Zippy" was like the quote for that. And then I never planned like going into the game. Oh yeah, like because you're in that environment, it was Zippy for the next week. It's like everyone just like Zippy, and then I saw you guys tweet it. I was like, I did not even think about that anyone would pick up on that, but that's the Zippy story. So now I changed him in my phone to Zippy, and
he's definitely Zippy.
He's Zippy, So trying to get, but hilarious. You're Zippy.
Was that one of the warm-up games where you got in the way of Mark Wood?
No. That was before that. That was before that. That was like summer before it in Perth.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm hoping. Yeah,
but that was like a warm up to the World Cup or something, or
I can't remember. The series was just like going to each other, but it was before. Might have been before the 22 World Cup.
The 22 World Cup. Yeah,
we played a 3-game series against them. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So what happened?
I wanted to play footy, so I just used Dustin Martin fend off. What happened is he hit me straight in the head.
Yeah.
And the ball was flying. It was one of those moments everything happens so fast. The ball's flying, ball's coming up. He's running at me, Butler's running at me, and I'm just like, I'll push him out of the way
just
first.
shepherding.
I fended him. I didn't even really think about it at the time, and then I came off the ground and David Saker was bowling coach or doing stuff with England, and he gave me a serve, and I know Sakes really, really well. And I was like, what the hell's he talking about?
Yeah.
And then I started speaking to the boys, and they're like, "Yeah, it was bad." I was like, shit."
It does look funny on the replay, like you are deliberately getting in the way of it.
Yeah. It's like, shit. Now I'm going to have to deal with this for the next 2 weeks leading into the World Cup. It'll be everywhere. So I don't know if I even got a cog sport test or anything, but he was bowling quick as, and he hit me flush in the head. Well, not flush, I hit it as well. So.
Do you reckon because you faced Jofra in the 2019 Ashes, probably the quickest or best he bowled in tests anyway. Then you obviously got Woody, who's express.
Yeah.
You got a favourite between facing those? Obviously,
I think Jofra's more
nasty.
Wood's skiddy and hits the bat really hard. You can't shot making's really hard against him, but Jofra's nasty. You just don't expect it from Jofra.
It's different to how he comes. It's a bit like Boomer, right? Because it's a stutter. You can't follow the pace of it.
Correct.
Woody sprints in, right? Yeah.
And in 19, we got him at his peak. And the last test I'm facing him, he's bowling everyone throughout the whole series, Hoff would laugh at this. Hoff telling me, he won't maintain pace. He's going to drop away. He hasn't played test cricket. He'll drop pace away. We get to the last test last day. I'm batting. He's bowling 94 miles an hour.
Yeah.
What is going on here? And then we keep losing wickets. Next batter comes out. It's can't have much left. He's bowled 6 overs straight. Yeah. They get out. Next batter comes in. He's bowled 7 overs. He can't have much. This went on for 6 wickets, and he just continued to bowl between 90 and 96 mile an hour.
And how many did you make in that?
Yeah.
I got 100. I was banging him everywhere. Quick as a bowler's ever bowled, actually.
But he sort of shows you it doesn't, Joff. You
see
it all the way. You see it all the way.
See it all the way.
You line it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Only tell stories when you get 100.
That's right.
That's golden rule.
That's funny. I mean, you're coaching today, Wadey, and you've seen so much change in Australian cricket, from how it started, and then you've had a second act in your career, and you're praising McDonald and Cummo, and now you're one of the rare blokes in the team. You've developed wisdom around the game of cricket and how you can get the best out of yourself. When you look at a coaching career, I observe from afar that there are some coaches who try and mold players in their own image, because that's what worked for them. But what's going to be your approach to coaching, because there's been a few different Matthew Wades, it seems, you've evolved and developed and stuff. How do you deal with younger guys coming through?
I hope that.
Sorry, I know you're just shadowing.
No, I'm just a shadow at the moment.
What's your philosophy?
That's a good point. I think that's kind of like what's going to shape me as a coach. Like, I was in my own terms, I was a battling international cricketer. I had to fight hard and change and find ways to be successful, and I think that's what will probably make me a decent coach, because I've been able to go through the highs and the lows and trying to work it out, scoring runs, not scoring runs. Like guys that are obviously at the top of their games and just peel off runs all the time find it hard to understand guys like me.
But like Mark was saying, get to it on the full.
I've got a good understanding of I think the game, how difficult the game is to play. Like, some of the guys that are great players maybe don't have that lens on the game. But I'm not 100% sure what my coaching style is going to be. As I said, I'm fresh into this, just trying to learn a little bit. But I think I think I can be a really good connection coach. I feel like I can create a good environment around the team, and thankfully from the Victoria days, been around successful teams and seeing how that operates to playing international cricket to playing for Tassie. Like, I've seen a lot of different environments. Franchise stuff helps, I think, with a lot of that, seeing different countries go about it in different ways. So I feel like I can create like a good environment around the team, and then at the top level, it's trying to make people comfortable, happy, and being able to go out and play the way that they know that they can. Like, they're all so talented and take information in so quickly that it's just like exactly like Ronnie and Kamal have done. This isn't groundbreaking stuff. They've created an environment that people can walk in and they get their best out of themselves. Like, look at Travis Head's record since those two took over.
Yeah.
Classic example of just being able to let a guy know what his strengths are, know what his weaknesses are, but be comfortable that his strengths are better than his weaknesses and let him go play. Like, Heady's going to get out some ways that everyone will scratch their head, but since you accept that as a player, he goes out and does what he does. So I'm just continue to learn how you actually get that out of a player is something that I'm keen to do over the next few years.
We got in the ranks in the T20s as well as the one days starting today. Jake Fraser McGurk, and we note this morning that Cumo's given him a license to bat. So I was wondering if Jake was looking for a license. I get the impression he's pretty good.
A license to go after the new ball.
Yeah, do I have a license today, Cumo? Anyway, but he's got a license.
Just have a look first.
But there's been, you've been a franchise guy. You're multi-skilled, and there's been some suggestion that he might pick up the gloves as well to get himself a few more franchise gigs or become more helpful to a team.
Yeah.
Would you come into play there a little bit in terms of helping his wicket keeping?
Yeah, I certainly could. I knew that he was going to start trying to keep when he was catching balls at the World Cup when I was still playing. I was like, Ronnie, can you wait till I'm out? Till you start blooding another keeper. I'm on the way out. I know. So you're looking for another option already. Yeah, I absolutely I could. That's another thing. Like, keeping wise, I kept for a long time, and then later in my career didn't keep. But keeping's a really interesting conversation in our country. We've got really strong views on the way that keepers should keep them, and I'm probably the complete opposite. A guy like McGurk, I would just let him catch the ball until it becomes an issue. Basically catch like an English keeper. If that's the style that he has, then
can you talk a bit about that? I don't. Keeping is one of those niche skills that you tend to just defer to the experts.
Yeah.
No one really knows, unless they're a keeper, no one really knows how to talk about it, right? You're saying that in Australia there's a focus on being really classical or whatever, whereas there's actually many different ways to catch a ball. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So many different ways. English keepers keep completely different to us, and then subcontinent keepers. It's all based on predominantly conditions, but body shape, reach, all that plays a massive part on how you can actually stand and catch the ball. And I think even from a young age, sometimes we change keepers just because we think aesthetically that's pleasing to the eyes. Why did you change that? If you ask a kid, and I don't know, were you catching the ball well? Yeah. So why are we changing people? So I'm really strong on that because I've been through it. I could catch the ball all right, then I changed a lot, then I had to strip my keeping all the way, but I could not catch it. I was in a horrible position late in 2014. I had to stop basically speaking to anyone and try and find a way of catching the ball again. Yeah. I didn't know if I'd ever get my technique back, but then I gradually over 12 months I got it back. So through experience, and then seeing other countries the way they go about it, I just don't think there's one mould for keepers, and I think like it's maybe that we've had wicket keepers commentate over 40 years and always have a really strong opinion about the way that keepers should keep. Like he's not getting weight on that foot, so that's why he's not catching that, and then it all of a sudden becomes a bit of a issue. Like I've lived this daily, so like I've got some views at wicket keeping, but predominantly all you got to do is catch the ball, and like however you do that is your choice and your option. And if it becomes an issue, you can't catch the ball, then obviously you got to make changes. But yeah, I'm kind of let the boys go, just catch the ball.
Especially in white ball cricket, where you're up to the stumps so much.
Yeah.
You know, like if Hazelwood's coming through the chest, then like you can catch it on your left hip, right? But if you're playing in the subcontinent, you need to stop it with your feet like Dhoni used to. Like,
go low. Yeah, you wouldn't say Dhoni's a traditional like
No way.
No.
like technique keeper,
Right.
And there are
He wouldn't get past twos in Australia.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's no fundamentals to keeping. Like, although Steve Smith, the way he bats, the fundamentals of batting, he gets in the positions that he needs to get in. Like keeping, there are positions you need to get in, but it can look like Steve Smith or it can look like a traditional opener or whatever it is in a batting sense. So it's the same with keeping. You got to have like a certain style that works for you. It's not just one size fits all.
Jamie Smith in Pakistan, he's like his starting position, he was facing cover just about, you know. So like if you're Australian, you're like, well, what happens if it goes down the leg side? You completely wrong body position, but he's still a good keeper. But Ben Folkes, like
Folkes is gun keeper, and they all come from Surrey, so I don't have intel on how they go about it, but I think Stuart works with them guys. I'd love to go and see the way that they go about it. Because it's important as well, because we go to England and then the ball starts moving and it's like Australian keepers are super challenged when it goes like that.
Pass the bat and start swinging.
But that's their problem. That's not ours.
No, absolutely. So, that's a long-winded answer, but like I've got strong... I'm a bit passionate about this stuff because I know like I've lived it.
You've lived it.
Totally,
kind of that people can easily go down the wrong path because they're trying to please someone else.
But I mean, it does seem to be, this is a real generalisation, but like at least when we were coming through, it does... Tell me if you think this is wrong, but like in Australian cricket, it seems to be more important to look good and have the right aesthetic in the way you make shapes, you know, as a bowler or a batter or a keeper, than it does in other countries. There's a lot of guys from other countries who mightn't have made it through here because their biomechanics don't fit in what the mould was. And it seems to me that you're saying that keeping is one of those things as well. You know, there's many ways to skin a cat. As long as you catch it, you're good to go.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're moving away from that kind of, he's a pretty batter, so he's going to play type of thing. I think now, you know, the way that they're selecting teams, like runs are relevant. So like, I think we've moved, but like 10 years ago even, there was a conversation around, you know, domestic cricketers. Like, would you rather look really pretty and average 32 or battle away and average 40? And you probably, and the guys at that stage that had the talent were getting picked over the guys that were scoring bulk runs, like Chris Rogers, an example of that. Didn't look that good, but scored bulk runs and got his opportunity. So I think we're past that now, but there certainly was a period where it was like AFL though as well. They were just drafting like all these athletes from hundreds of different sports. Now they've gone back
to rigs. Now
they've gone back to getting like footballers. Like they want the best footballers at the time.
So, but you think Fraser McGurk has a future as a keeper?
If Fraser McGurk can bat like he bats, he's obviously got a gun eye. It wouldn't shock me if he could. He's certainly been an option. And he's not looking to play as a keeper. He's giving another option. We get you on more tours. Like later on in my career, I got on white ball tours because I could keep. I was playing as a bat at the time, but if you can give that option to a selector, you maybe will get a nod over and just a traditional batter just because you got another option on the road to keep.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, Wadey, you have a one-day international fixture to go and coach now at the Melbourne Cricket Ground.
I've got a shadow.
You keep saying that, but mate, thanks so much for stopping by the studio. It's been really like a real privilege for us to do some sort of walkthrough of your career and also just to get a sense of your mentality around how it's evolved and how you can take that into a coaching career now as well. So, mate, congratulations on the international career. You're going to go and be like Sids now, I guess, and coach people and then destroy them at their first class. Domestic level as well. But, mate, really appreciate it and all the best for what's next.
No, thanks for having me. That was fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Wadey for joining us in studio. So good to have people in the studio getting around us and getting around the listeners in their ears anyway. The Sheffield Shield, Pezza, is on right now. Here are 3 games that are happening. New South Wales are well behind against Queensland. Hey, Curtis Patterson, KP, made 91 for New South Wales. Jack Edwards, 88. They were all out 239. Queensland made 400 odd declared. Usman up the top, 58. Nice to see someone who's going to play for Australia scoring some runs. Angus Lovell made a debut 100 for Queensland, 146. New South Wales still behind in the 3rd inning, so New South Wales cooked there at Cricket Central. Western Australia are beating Tassie at the moment. Hilton Cartwright made 153 for a big WA lead.
Their father runs.
Dad runs?
Yeah, once you become a dad, life's in perspective.
Point.
Runs ensue. There should be a breeding program.
Something that caught my eye was Matt Kuhneman took 5 for 100 for Tassie. Now, that would be important given that he would be well in contention for the Sri Lanka series.
Well, how much is Australia and the rest of the world going to be frothing on left-arm orthodox if they weren't already?
You need left-arm
orthodox.
orthodox.
Post-Jasantner and Ajaz Patel results in New Zealand.
100%.
Don't be sleeping on that left-arm orthodox conversation, which you may be.
J.S. Surya is going to kill us in Sri Lanka. No question about that. So we need some left-arm spin. Anyway, Kuhneman, 5 for... and Tassie are 5 for 50 and well behind in the 3rd innings of that game. And Victoria are currently playing South Australia in Adelaide. They are chasing 350-ish in the 4th innings of the game. And I think they were about 1 for 100 last time I saw, but that's happening right now. So the Sackers are in. Western Australia's in. Queensland in. That's what's happening at the moment. Of course, all these teams missing their best players who are playing for Australia A. That game was on at the same time.
You reckon, like, that's a training gear situation as well? You know, like, if you play for Australia A, you can wear that Australia A gear back at state training. If you're Marcus Harris, you've got Australian gear, you wear that Australia A game. And if you're Glenn Maxwell, you wear IPL gear to the setup. Anyway, move on. And
what about the WBBL? Most teams have played 3 games. The Renegades and the Hurricanes have played 4 games. Sydney Thunder are top of the table at the moment with the Melbourne Stars and the Brisbane Heat. And indeed, actually, the Renegades and the Hurricanes are all on 4 points. So everyone's got 4 points, yeah. Strikers, it's on me. Great catch, Molly Strano. Saw that. And just Pez is atop the batting averages and aggregate. Yeah, her record at North Sydney Oval is just unbelievable. Can't be stopped. And Elisa Healy's back, which is nice for Australians and safety. And I suppose the Sydney Sixers, who she plays for, which would probably help if you've got one of the best players in the world playing for you. But nice to see her back after she did the, was it the Achilles or a calf during the World Cup? What was it? I'm going to call that a lower leg. A lower leg. Yeah. It was a lower leg. Lower leg injury. A lower leg. Anyway, as ever, famously hard to follow a BBL when you do it week to week. But that's what's happening. There are 6 teams on top of the table, and the Scorchers, Sixers, and Strikers are coming second in an 8-team comp. So that's what's happening with that. Good one. AskTGC brought to you by Smith Optics Australia. I said it at the top, but smithopticsaustralia.com. Use the code FAST for 25% off, plus a free TGC cloth gift. You know about the key technology, your Chroma Pops, your frame text. We've been talking about the field collection, the verts, the wild caps. This year, Pat's also going to be rocking the Motive, perhaps. Then you got the Bobcat, which is obviously the smaller style. But you can go to smithopticsaustralia.com/collection/field sports if you want to get involved in that. Now, we were talking earlier, Pezza, about the kind of optic that a young person would go for. Sort of like it's like a triathlon optic, you know? Yeah. Someone walk around the streets. Yes, I run. Yes, I bike. Yes, I swim. That's the versatility of it. I mean, Smith Optics is the best in athletic wear, but also leisure wear. Athleisure, they should call it. Yeah, really. But like you've just coined it. Thank you. Look, I feel a bit old to pull it off unless I'm feeling like ready to be vibrant and fast. I tell you what, it is good if someone challenges you in just any walk of life. Let's say you've driven somewhere and you've parked your car and you didn't buy a ticket, and then you walk back to your car and that parking officer all of a sudden just sees your car. There's no ticket on your car. You're about to get in trouble. Yep. If you put those on, that's going to diffuse that situation real quick, because you look like you could be a man of danger. It is definitely an identity. There is the concept of priming in life, you know, like you put on the clothes that help you feel the way you want to feel. Yeah. It can go the other way as well, you know, if you dress like an absolute fucking slob, you behave and act accordingly as well. Right. But priming is definitely on the cards when you're wearing Smith Optics. Mm-hmm. Like,
Here's a practical example for cricketers out there who, by the way, and I am being like legitimate here, if you're spending 60 to 90 overs in the dirt, if that's a possibility for you as a fielder who barely gets a bowl, you bat in the top 3 or 4 at best, you fail most of the time, as all cricketers do. Like, there are going to be times when you need to get into a mental zone to get through the 70 to 90 overs of fucking dross that is around you.
Yes.
Okay, including your own as well. Put some shades over your eyes and go into your own zone. No better shades than Smith Optics. They're big. Don't trust us. Trust Pat Cummins.
Yeah.
They allow you to subsume into your own little world. You prime yourself because you're wearing the best. You're going to field well anyway.
Yeah.
But the lens is so all-encompassing around the eye and the peripherals. You can actually just drop in and start enjoying your Saturday afternoon.
That's nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, relax your eyes for a day in the dirt.
Yeah.
By the way, you're going to get 25% off.
Oh, sorry.
Using the code FAST. So apologies for the value. Apologies for looking after you while you're playing a game of cricket. Apologies for giving you accompaniment if you want to use it in your fitness outdoors, whether you're cycling, whether you're running. If you do want to sit on the street with some neighbours and alpha them a little bit, put them on as well. Have a beer or whatever your beverage proclivity. Smith Optics Australia has you covered.
SmithOpticsAustralia.com. Use the code FAST for 25% off your order plus a free TGC cloth gift. All right. Shamar Joseph's Big Toe says, are New Zealand good? So the age-old question.
We're going to have to ask Tim Payne.
You know what? Because when they got done by Sri Lanka, you're thinking...
No,
you're not. But then the next thing happens, and then all of a sudden it's the greatest achievement in cricket.
Is it an aberration? Like, are we heralding the start of a skeletal century?
What is a better achievement? The ODI World Cup won by Australia or a 3-0 Test Series win in India?
That's fucking easy. It's ODI World Cup.
Correct answer. Good effort though, New Zealand.
Yeah. India be sleeping. India are having a kip before the Border Gavaskar Trophy.
It's going to be tough to take.
When you put it in the context of Australia's ODI win, that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, of course. Xi think of Jinping. Would you, an Aussie, rather 3-0 India in India or 5-0 England in Australia? Reasons for decision give.
Hang on, what? 3-0?
Would you rather 3-0 India in India?
As in India beats us 3-0?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Or a 5-0 England in Australia?
India 3-0.
India 3-0, because it happens all the time. We're used to it.
Fucking idiot. Sorry.
God. If anyone beat us 3-0 in a 3-test series.
In Australia.
It's
unthinkable. It's unthinkable and unfathomable. And that's why Indians should be ashamed at what's happened.
I think they are.
I mean, it's true, isn't it? 3-0 here?
Mate, the sky would fall in.
Even when we sacked half the team...
Still got a game.
Pre-Sandpaper, where some allege that's where Sandpaper was born in Australia, where the Pete Neville run out and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Renshaw was picked to the next game and we got a draw or something. We did something in a day-night test. There's no 3-0. There's no whitewashing of Australia.
No. I
mean, it's whitewashing.
Yeah, I mean,
in cricket.
So, like, if there was a team if there was one team that came to Australia and defeated us, let's say 3-0, which team would you like that to be?
Oh, great question. Oh, it's going to have to be something peripheral.
Yeah.
Oh, it's something I can...
Couldn't be New Zealand.
No, absolutely not. No, it couldn't be New
I
Zealand.
don't think it could be India.
It couldn't be India.
Okay, England's right off,
See
obviously.
you later. No way.
Sri Lanka?
I might have taken South Africa doing it some time ago.
China.
Out of it. China beating us. Yeah. Oman. The USA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sri Lanka. I mean, it'd be so abstract that you could kind of like mulligan it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that was.
What the hell was that? Maybe Pakistan.
Pakistan?
Maybe Pakistan.
You'd be happy.
Because you'd respect it because it'd be pace. Because I always heard a good pace attack. So you're like, well, they brought some wheels out here. They just play the better cricket.
That's right.
The sport is now dead in Australia.
We'll
but
gut our entire system and pyramid.
gut the system like a fish.
I'm kind of want it now. Careful what you wish for. Shy
boy from Annandale. Eye poke story shared with Workshop. She found it funny. Am I putting a ring on it?
Oh my God.
So those for the uninitiated or long-term fans actually of the show will remember the eye poke story. So that's nice that he's sharing his podcast life with his Workshop.
With the person he calls his Workshop.
Yeah. I mean, it's something. It's something to talk about around the office, around the water cooler.
If you're hiding that relationship, obviously less so. But something to think about.
Happy to help.
Xi Think at Jinping said US election grade terms put in. US election. They're nervous, we're calm.
Is anyone calm?
Nah.
We recorded one of our first ever podcasts the day that Trump was elected.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think Murph Hughes was on.
Okay. Last one for this week, Pezza. Why is it called tubbing if you're in a ... Sorry, your name cut off there. Why is it called tubbing if you're in a ... AskTGC, please evaluate my psychological state. For context, in 2020, I was in a 6-month high school relationship that ended right before cricket started and resulted in my statistically worst season ever. We'll call this girl K. Now, about 6 weeks ago, a 2.5-year relationship ended. We were long distance. We'll call this girl B. So it happened over a FaceTime call. Crushed, I talked to my mother about what happened. After chatting with her and being with my thoughts by myself for the first time post-breakup, I thought to myself, fuck, I played so shit after Kay broke up with me. I cannot believe how shit I'll play this year. My question, gents, why was this my first thought? That is a good question. That is a good question. Why was that your first thought?
He loves the game. Like he's going through his second breakup and he's like, fuck, I'm going to struggle for runs here. I can only succeed in cricket with a stable relationship around me.
Yeah, we're all superstitious.
That's where a lot of us fail.
You ever do that thing where, like, once you score runs, you sort of twice of your 3 times in a season, you think, okay, what were the exact circumstances on this Saturday morning that led to me performing?
I will repeat
at a higher level. Was it the cold sausage roll? Was it the chocolate milk instead of the strawberry milk on the way to the ground?
Yeah.
Was it that I walked onto the field left foot first?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I've said this before, but like when I was in year 3 at school, a white robed chaplain taught us the subject called divinity with a cane, and his conception of heaven was just whatever you wanted. Like if you live a good life, you go to heaven, anything you want will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a question I would ask God in that circumstance. It's like, how many times did I fail as a result of the foot that I went onto the ground with? He's like, yeah, no, just all shell they.
Yeah. I put my right pad on first. Should have always been left.
Do you know how close you were to a double ton in first grade there? Like you just went on the field with the wrong foot.
Yeah.
Championship.
You could have played Test cricket for your country if only you'd not broken up with Kay in year 9.
That's right.
You fucking idiot.
You fucking idiot. Playing catch and kiss. Or worse.
All right. Thank you very much to Matt Wade for joining us in studio, who will definitely be listening to this part of the show. Thank you for joining us here on TGC. Another stellar week here on TGC. Sorry for all the value. I hope you've been enjoying the show since it's been coming back this summer. Plenty more to come. Live shows, Wasted Saturdays, Ask TGC. It's all there to be had. It's all there in front of us. But cricket is finally back on our shores, in our eyeballs, and in our hearts. We'll see you on this podcast next week. Cheers.